All right, everybody, it's our first game of Gold League here. We're going to be building that pylon on the low ground. And we're going to slow down a little bit. I do think, as much as I explained a lot of things very well, I think this gold session is going to be really interesting. We're going to be making a few small changes we'll talk about as we go. Things like taking the gases on the natural a little bit earlier. But most of it's just, you know, a bit of extra observer scouting. Paying attention to that is going to be big. So we go bam, bam, bam. Probes on a hotkey. Build more probes, chrono boost. We get that 17 gas. There we go. So first things first, guys. And like I said, it's let's set up those camera locations. Second base, third base, fourth base, fifth base. Actually, we do fifth over there. And let's keep queuing up probes. Now, we've gone over saturation, so we can click there. We can grab this one and go, you get on the gas. All right. Now, we want to make sure we're queued up to 20, which we are. So we rally down there. Probe pops out. We go do-do-do. We want to use those camera locations here as much as possible. And we're going to build that Nexus. Okay. Now, Nexus, add to control group, double tap, recenter camera location, set the rally point, and then we can go to our wall off camera location. Notice how I went from natural to wall off, because I always have that warp in point as a camera location. Cybercore goes down, back to the main. Behind this, we go build a probe, build a gas, build a probe, build a pylon, right? Since we got 16 on minerals, 3 on gas, we rally to the second gas. Super easy, guys. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. And I'm actually hiding on the wrong side. I got confused about what map we were on. No worries. But we see the buildings are inside my opponent's base. I'm not getting cheesed, so no need for an anti-cheese response or anything like that. And this is going to be fantastic. So, like I said, slowing things down where possible. That's Chrono, Warp Gate, and a Stalker. And I have been a little slow on putting on gas, but that's okay. We've got 16 on minerals, 3 on each gas. So we rally, select our Nexi, and click them on the minerals. And then we want to get that robo started the moment you have 100 gas, okay? And use shift to send that back. Now, the robo, we immediately control group it. We start building more probes. And we queue up another Stalker. And if you want to be super safe, you can even chrono boost that Stalker as well. But normally I'd chrono boost probes here. But completely up to you. If you, ladies and gentlemen, are finding you struggle, that's going to be good. Now, notice we've already seen the Nexus. So we can just go home with this probe. Because we've already achieved the... At 3 minutes 30, do they have an expansion scout? And the answer is, of course, yes. Yes, they do. Next up, we're going to build a third Stalker. Make sure we've got more probes queued, guys. So notice we queued those probes. We'll even chrono boost one as well. Probes plus chrono. And then we're going to build these 2 more gateways. All right, so we're doing the exact same build. We've just got to keep an eye on that natural saturation. As soon as we have 12 workers there... Ooh, look at this, guys. All right, so we need to pull our Stalkers up into the main. And if they come in with the depths, you want to attack, move them, guys. All right. So notice, we're just going to attack, move that. Make sure we deal with this before we focus on other things. Okay, that was lucky. That was quite easy. Let's box these workers. We're going to go right-click on the gas, shift deselect. Right-click on the gas, shift deselect. Right-click on the middle. Now, we've missed macroed a bit because we were distracted. So what's the first thing you do? Macro cycle. So we're going to go build 3 probes on each Nexus. And I'm even going to reset this rally point here. Or if you want, you could manually pull them back. It's up to you. But anyway, that's step 1. Step 2 is making units. So I'll warp in whatever I can. Only 1 Stalker available. And then third, but last but not least, is pylons. Build a pylon there, build a pylon there, build a pylon here. And let's do another macro cycle. Select the Nexi, queue up more probes, warp in more units, build more pylons. Well, we just did that. Okay, so let's go to the next step. What do we do in our build? We want to be getting our Robo Bay, right, guys? And our second Robo at 50 to 55 supply. But wait a second. Oh, we forgot the double gas. Okay, so double gas ends up being a little late on our natural because we were distracted. It is what it is. As long as we go for that first, that's okay. We're making an Observer as well, and then an Immortal. So let's chrono boost that. Our main is saturated, so let's rally back to the natural. And we're already at 42, so we just need to build 2 or 3 more probes, and that's all the workers we need for this game. Now, let's go for the second Robo in the Robo Bay, 50 to 55 supply, sometime after taking these gases. And let's grab some workers and put them on the gas. So if you only box 2, no worries, just grab another one. And you're going to see these last 2 probes are going to take this up above 16 workers, which is fan-bloody-tastic. Now, as you get higher level, this is what you're going to do, is when you see adepts coming, you're going to do this, and the adepts can't get past that, and then you cancel it before it finishes. We're way too low level to be thinking about doing anything that fancy yet, so don't worry about it for now. Let's chrono boost the robo. Let's get the extra robo, add it to the hotkey, and just kind of chill. Our observer's going to go across, scout everything, so I've queued it through the base, and then back to sit out front to see if an attack comes out. All right, guys, so what are we going to do? We're going to make units, so we're going to make Colossus soon. Oh, we need pylons first. All right, now the robo bay is done. So we go Colossus, and Viagra. We're going to chrono. Now notice that their macro cycle was out of order. It was step 1 probes, but I've already got my probe count, so I didn't build any. Step 2 build units, but I saw I didn't actually have the tech ready for the units. And remember, we only build the gateway units at the very start of the game. You might be wondering, don't you normally make 6? Why'd you only make 4? Well, the reason is I'd already defended in adept pressure. I already had immortals out. I was a bit distracted, so I felt like I didn't need the units. If I felt like I wanted to make 6 just for safety's sake, that's perfectly fine. But you want to go off your own intuition as well. Now we're going to go for the second, the Twilight and the Forge. And we want to keep queuing up immortals here, making sure those robos keep chronoing, since that is the real anchor of our build. As we get higher level in PvP, people always ask, like, what about an Oracle flying in your mineral line? Well, if you want, guys, you can actually keep your Stalkers in the middle. Is probably the safest default position, so that as long as you've got them on a hotkey or you're quick at using the Select All Army key, if an Oracle flies in, you can get there pretty quickly and pull your probes away. Now, obviously, you could split your Stalkers up from the start in the mineral lines, and that way you're definitely safe against Oracles and things. But it means if they attack you at the front, it's a little harder to organize. There's gives and takes to everything. As you get better at building your observer on time, you should know about these things coming ahead of time. It's not going to be that big of an issue. All right, we're going to build one more Immortal and then a Warp Prism, guys. We've got the +1 and the charge. We're going to build those 5 more gateways like we always do. Templar Archives. And all we're doing is building units and pylons. Macro is so easy. Once you've built all your probes you need, it's like, oh, just so simple on the macro. It makes it really chill. Just select your gateways, add them to your gateway hotkey if you're like me and you hotkey your gateways. If you guys use the warp gate hotkey, as I've said, that's totally fine. Just make sure you have a hotkey for your gateways before they turn into warp gates in the early game and you'll be all good. All right, so we're waiting for that warp prism before we move out. We can start making zealots as well to help spend our money. And of course, make sure you build extra pylons, especially on any buildings. Like there, that's 5 gateways powered by 1 pylon. So make sure it's not an Artosis pylon. Make sure there's lots of other pylons there as well. All right, let's move out, guys. We've got the Warp Prism. We're going to put that on our secondary army key. I didn't really look at my opponent's base at all, so maybe I should do that now. Let's just go into a middle area and kind of siege up. So I don't see an army anywhere, which means the army's probably on my side of the map. Anyways, let's make some Archons. All right, we're going to make some Archons here, because I'm like, well, they've got to be somewhere on my side, right? Oh, look at this, guys. What's that? Okay, so what are we going to do? So we're going to A-move our whole army up there, right? So right-click, because the Archons weren't finished making, and we're going to run these probes to the natural. Once your Archons and Zealots get there, we can... Notice I've still got the probes selected. Another way you could do this, if you guys want, is you can actually put your probes on a different army key so that you can select them later. So if I want to go back to mining, I just select that key, right-click, Shift-deselect, right-click, Shift-deselect, right-click. Now, I'm not worried about this attack because I'm behind a wall off. So I'm really safe. Even though I'm losing some buildings, that's fine. We'll warp Zealots in because they don't have to be morphed in the middle of a fight. And that's the easiest fight of my life. Now, what's the big mistake I've made here? That prism could come back in, right? So what am I going to do? I'm gonna pull off. What we're going to use our dumping key, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Stalkers. They're the least important fighting unit. And I'm going to dump them onto 0 and put them up in my main. Predictable, right? We know there was a prism in my main, so why would we do that? Why do people not use a specific warp key? What's wrong with you clowns? You mean actual good StarCraft players who know how to use mechanics? Yeah, it's okay. This is such a common question I get from people who are just like, why not just let the game hotkey things for you? And this is 90% of the time players who don't control group their gateways before they're turned into warp gates. And they die to cheeses and they wonder why they're scrolling around their base to click on a gateway to build a unit. And they're like, make a zealot. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, hotkey your gateways. If you want to let them auto hotkey after that, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, just make sure you hotkey them pre-gateway. If you don't do that, it's an absolute disaster. And there we go, extra Templar Archives and Zealots. Now people also would be like, well, but isn't it so hard to hotkey your gateways? It's very easy. It's good practice, number one. Number two, you don't even need to in the late game. If you're in a big macro game, you're building gateways everywhere, they're finishing. Oh, you're not going to remember to go back and control group them, right? You don't need to. There's this button here. Select all warp gates is above the minimap. So I can literally click that and then put that on my hotkey as well. So just remember, there are a lot of shortcuts you can use. Anyway, we should be moving across the map. We're explaining a lot of fundamentals and things, but let's get one more High Templar, because this one High Templar has been in here without a buddy this whole time. So how do we select it, guys? Well, there we go. Now we've got the other one on the hotkey. It's all fine. So those High Templar are gonna meet up. Remember, right-click, shift, warp in. Zealots are there. Pretty good army for my opponent, I gotta say, guys. All right, let's move up. So what we want to do is we want to not attack around the corner, move into the open. Because if your units attack around a corner, they all get stuck behind each other. But if we move into the open, and then we aim move. Now, we want to do a bit more micro in this matchup. So let's try and control click our immortals. And what we're going to do is we're going to move command forward, and then we're going to shift click the enemy immortals. Because immortals do 2.5 damage to enemy armored units. So look at how quickly his immortals died. Whereas if they're just shooting Archons, they're doing 20 damage. They're doing 50 damage a shot versus the enemy immortals. So I'm not microing anything except my immortals, and all I'm doing is move forward, click on a Stalker. And this is the secret to high-level micro, guys, is you actually just don't do that much. You just do one important thing, and you ignore everything else, and that's how you get good at StarCraft. 90% of players who say they don't have good micro, when I watch them trying to micro, they try to micro like what they've seen someone like Clem or Hero do, where they're trying to micro 5 different things at once. And even Hero and Maru and the top players in the world will only do that sometimes. So it's really important for you to just focus on one thing at a time. So let's just explain this opening really quickly, guys. This adept situation is really common and important. Basically, 2 adepts are coming in. I'm actually going to go windowed mode so I can easily tab in and out to write notes today. So the whole thing here is this is a standard 2-gate opening that Elder's doing. We're going to start doing that in Platinum League for this matchup to be a bit safer. For now, we're just focusing on fundamentals because I really think until we get a lot of games in and are really comfortable with our 1-gate expand, just building units well enough is usually going to be fine. And we see here, it's not like I reacted very quickly, guys. I took a while to A-move my Stalkers in there. I took a while to A-move my probes, but thankfully my opponent messed up their micro, which is very common.
Can you explain
and they kill maybe 1 or 2 probes. Oh, thank you so much for the $10 tip from Majdi. He says, can you explain how to avoid slow warp-ins? A pylon has to be close enough to a nexus or a warp gate. Sorry, not a warp gate, just a... Well, yeah, warp gate. Wait. Is it a warp gate or a gateway? It's just a gateway, right? It just has to be finished building. It has to be a finished nexus or a finished gate, and then it becomes a fast warp in. Yeah. So basically, it's 11 seconds if it's a pylon on its own, but if it's near the nexus or gateway, it'll be a 4-second warp in, I believe. Not exact, but about 4 seconds. So one of the big things there... One of the big things is the power field is a different color. So when you're going to place the pylon, the power field looks much richer, much brighter color if it's a fast warp in pylon, if it's near a gateway or a nexus. And if what you can do is if you go in game, go to hover up, build a pylon, you try to build it out here, it's not close enough. You build it here, like you'll move the pylon placement from there to there, and you'll see that the color gets more rich, kind of teal power color, Protoss power color. So that's how you can see when it's fast enough. But yeah, anyways, so if we wanted to defend this, like I said, if your Stalkers are in a bit more of a central position, it's a little bit easier to react in time and defend the main mineral line. Just make sure you get your Stalkers up there. So as long as you chrono boost your units, and especially if you chrono boost your Stalkers twice, that's going to be big. Most players, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, when they struggle with things like an adept pressure, when I look at their replays, the adepts arrive and they only have 1 Stalker, or they don't even have 1 Stalker. Why? Because their build's just bad. They just didn't build their gate on time. It was 10 seconds late. The Cybercore was 15 seconds late on top of that. So now your first Stalker's 25 seconds late. They didn't chrono boost it. They didn't build a second Stalker. They didn't notice when the Adept shaded in. And that all stacks up. So just remember, a lot of pressures like this, as good as it is to learn, okay, remember to attack move the probes at the adepts, A move the stalkers. Also, I could have grabbed these probes and tried to move in front of the adept to like surround it while the rest of the probes are just attacking it, and that would have been good to just wrap around and surround it. So, easy peasy. Yeah, good stuff, guys. So that's about it. The main thing is tighten your build up. If they get in there with units you don't have response, that's a problem. Now, there's always people who aren't paying attention to context. That's the other question I get. They go, well, I got hit at 2 minutes 30 with 2 adepts in my natural. And even in your build, at 2 minutes 30, you don't even have a stalker out. How are you meant to stop that? And I would go, well, they didn't get 2 adepts in your base at 2:30, you're lying. And they go, no, I checked the replay. And I go, okay. Are there gateways here? Because if their gateways are built here, then yes, they can have 2 adepts in your base at 2:30. But if their gateways are on their side of the map, how the fudge are they getting 2 adepts in your base? Like I need to see this replay. And like, don't get me wrong, technically the opponent could execute at a pro gamer level and do like a 13 pylon opening, 14 gate, they get a really fast core, double chrono 2 adepts, and yes, they could be shading in on a small map about 2:30. But you're not playing pro gamers. So the only way that's going to happen is if the gateway is built right outside your base, in which case we wouldn't be building a Nexus, would we? Because when our probe scouted earlier, we would have seen no buildings in their base, and we would have gone for, you guys know. Standard cheese reaction. Second pylon, second gate, core, pump 2 zealots, then 2 stalkers, adepts, and zealots. Get a battery on the natural, third pylon, and then build the Nexus. All right, guys, going into our next game. We got another Protoss player. 2 Protosses in a row. Oh my god. And this is really good, just because those adepts in that last game, something we've been struggling against. Just a reminder, everyone who does volunteer to play against me in these shows, cheese, pylon block me, proxy, take gold bases, do whatever the hell you want, whatever you feel like. The whole point is this is meant to be like the ladder. And I do find the biggest complaint I've had from viewers since we swapped to, using our organic farm-raised free-range noobs. And by the way, if you send a probe down a bit early on maps like this, because look how far away this natural is on this map, that's actually going to be a little bit better. Because notice, you want to get down here and start that pylon right on 100 minerals. And even then, it's still a few seconds late. Not a big deal, just something to keep in mind. Little optimization. When you're starting out, it's okay to just always rally the first probe down, but because the maps sometimes have a slightly further away natural, you send the probe down a little early, it's pretty good. But anyways, main complaint is that the low-level players that I get in my first bronze, silver, gold episodes don't really play like players on the ladder. And I understand where people are coming from. It's because the people who are kind of laddering every day, bronze, silver, gold, and not really laddering up, they don't really watch that many shows or anything, so they kind of just do really weird random stuff. They do it pretty poorly, admittedly, and I still think everything I teach would get you through those leagues. But it's a different experience, whereas like in my first show, we play against a lot of people who are doing bronze to GM builds. And I'm like, okay, I can see like this looks very different, right? Because these guys are just macroing up and then trying to like build a big army, which is not something anyone else really does. So just something to keep in mind. Anyways, that probe just sits behind the natural, guys. We've already seen a gateway on my opponent's side of the map, which means no proxy. We are safe. We go Nexus. And now we want to add the Nexus to the key, double tap, set camera location. There we go. We want to then build our cyber core. And notice you want to hover it over, leave that single space gap, and then we can go back up into the main. Apparently my main camera location didn't work. I must have overridden it accidentally, which is why why you could see me click on the minimap to get back here, because I should just be able to go F1, F2, F1, F2. And we want to build one more probe and, of course, that second pylon, guys. And if you want to build that pylon out in the open there or down here to have more production space, that's totally fine. Speak of people doing macro builds, look at this. This player's doing my build order, or something very similar at the very least. So it's all good. We're going to go home because we know there's a Nexus, guys, and it's all fine. Big, if you played 100 games against Clem, how many would you win? How many P breaks does Clem need during those games? Because those are the games I'd win, the ones where he has to go to the bathroom. I'd just pee myself in my chair, and that would allow me to win. Basically, every time I wet myself and don't go to, to the toilet, I get a win. So you got to realize that Clem is an incredibly gifted TERRAN player, and TERRAN players have a a bit of a knack for making you have to play StarCraft as good as them. Otherwise, you just lose. I'll chrono the Stalker again. If you guys are like, oh, PvP's a scary matchup, yeah, chrono the Stalkers instead of the Nexus. If you guys want to do this, go for it. Anyways, what are we doing? We're going to build 5 probes. We're going to queue up a 3rd Stalker. And then we're going to go for a pylon, right? Because it's a macro cycle. Except, do we really need to do that, guys? Oh, let's control click the Stalkers, put them on hotkey. Probably don't need a pylon yet, do I? Because remember, you guys remember the order, right? 3rd Stalker, Observer. We queue up a couple more probes here. Remember, it's meant to be 2 gateways. And then we build the pylon. Pylons, the gateways are meant to go down about 34, 35. They're slightly later this game. Not a big deal. We'll put that pylon there. Now, obviously, that's only 1 pylon. We will need more to make sure we don't get supply blocks. So we build a pylon. And notice how I like to use those probes that are popping out just so I don't interrupt my mining. Now, with my observer, we're going to send that straight across the map through the middle to the natural, the main, and then back outside the base. And this will see if there's any incoming attacks coming, as well as everything else. Let's do another macro cycle. We're going to queue up 4 probes. We're going to queue up an Immortal. So I actually chrono then clicked the Immortal just because I already had the Nexus hotkeyed. And then we'll build a pylon as well. So we can just build 1 pylon over here. Back to minerals. Okay, what's next, guys? Well, we're past 12 workers on our natural, so let's get the double gas going. And then we want to go 50 to 55 supply. 2nd Robo and the Robo Bay. Now, if we're under threat, obviously it's more important to just keep building Immortals and Stalkers and stuff right now than it is to get those buildings down. Now, notice, if we don't build any gateway units, look how early my Robo is, look how tight this build is. But my opponent has a lot of gateway units, and I just lost my guy. So I've been greedier than my opponent. And if we're worried about dying, we can even build a shield battery as well. You guys want to always build a shield battery every game for safety, you can go for it. I don't recommend it. Hands down, the people that complain to me, they say, oh, you know, in the last one's GM, why not just build a battery every game? And I go, well, what you're doing there is you're trying to build default safety to make up for your lack of scouting. I like to build incentives into my builds. So think of it this way, guys. If I die because I didn't notice their attack coming and I didn't have good observer scouting, that's going to give me an immediate reason to improve my observer scouting. But if I just build 3 shield batteries every game, or build even just 1 shield battery, and it gets me out of losing those games where I don't see those attacks coming, I've kind of removed the incentive. So I hope that makes sense. Just like in a way of making sure you're actually going, hey, I'm going to build those shield batteries when I need to. I just saw what looked like a much bigger army than mine. I warped in some more units. I built a shield battery. That was a reaction, right? It made logical sense within the situation I was in. And I think this is something we can all kind of start to think about a bit more. Now, remember, I lost my observer. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there is a little blurry boy just came in. If you zoom in and out, you can see him quite clearly there in the center of our screen. Depends on the resolution you're watching at, I guess. These shows are very long, so I don't record them in 4K. So if you're watching on YouTube after the fact, maybe it's actually not. Maybe it's not that clear. Anyways, I will queue up an observer here, so we can at least, you know, remove his observer, stop him watching me. But just in general, if you lost your observer, it means he has an observer. We don't want to give him free vision, so why would we? Hey, Shui, hope you had a great stream. No worries about the raid. Glad to see you've been having fun grinding. Inspired after watching young Clement. Clement, looking fantastic this weekend. All right, so we've got an observer in the way, guys. We'll make a warp prism as well. Another immortal comes out. Super keen to get rid of this pervert, guys. This is what it feels like to be a Terran player. There's just a little creepy observer watching you the whole time. And notice I don't add the observer to my hotkey. I just right-click it on the Colossus, and then so it's following my army. And then we're going to move out and kill it. Ha-ha! The joys of killing your opponent's perverts. I'm going to build 2 more immortals this game, guys. I don't know why. I just feel like getting a few more units out. And this game, I've actually macroed super hard. So the next game, I'm specifically going to do an exercise to teach you guys how to make up for mismacroing. Because as good as learning build orders and how to do things with no distractions is, a lot of StarCraft's about how to bounce back from distraction. Well, what if your opponent starts doing all sorts of crazy shit and you're like, oh god, there's a battlecruiser in my base. Now I'm dealing with Dark Templar, now there's this happening, now there's that. You need to be able to quickly spend your money in those situations. A lot of people obsess over keep your money low, keep your money low. But what's more important than keeping your money low initially is you're always going to go micro for a minute here or there, or have to defend some sort of harassment or deal with something unexpected. Oi! Oi!
New technology.
Actually, sorry, we'll react slowly. I didn't see it, guys. What's the reaction? Oh god, what's happening? Jump to the main, A move army, box the workers, run to the natural. Simulating some Gold League response timings there. So we're gonna A move up here, guys. Colossus walked up the cliff, which is funny. Now, I didn't get a chance to hotkey those probes, guys, but that's okay. What are we gonna do? I always like to reset my economy. So reset the probes. We're gonna queue up a whole bunch. And we're gonna grab. So you notice we're at 23 out of 16. So we can take about 7. Take those, and we want to go onto gas first. Right click, deselect 2, because there's already one mining it. Right click the other gas, deselect 3, because there's no one mining it. Click on the minerals. That, plus these probes, which we're chronoing, that should resaturate that main base, okay? Now, let's move out. No, don't move out. Remember last time, control click your stalkers. We're gonna put those on a drop defense key. They're gonna just sit up here, okay? On the edge of my base. We could even patrol them if we want.
Upgrade.
And then the rest of my army is gonna push out, okay? So, what do we got? Archons. So we're going to make 3 Archons there, sticking to those even numbers of High Templar. And where's me Prism? Okay, this is it. All right, so we're going to move to our staging point. Here, A move. Right-click Prism, Shift Siege up. His Warp Prism just got scared away, by the way. Oh, whoa, what's happening? Well, my instinct would normally be to run away from this, guys. And honestly, I think his army might be scarier than mine. So let's just chill here for a moment. And without even looking, my Stalkers almost killed the Prism, which is awesome. Big, why you don't get a 3rd base? Because we're doing a 2-base build order. That's why. Because we're teaching people in Bronze last week, Bronze and Silver, this week Gold. And Gold League players are so slow and bad at their fundamentals that what we want to do is we want you to get your 2-base build tight, and we want to go attack earlier, harder, faster, and get better at this. One of the good things in StarCraft is, as much as it's a game about expansive focus and expanding and macroing and looking at lots of things, a lot of people try to focus on everything at once. And the secret to improving at anything, but especially something that seems vast and overwhelming like StarCraft, is you want to basically engage in one thing at a time. And what we're doing is we're saying, look, once I have my 2 bases up, I just focus on army. We're trying to make High Templar into Archons here. We're going to A-move our army guys. And we're going to try and control-click the High Templar and morph Archons. Notice they killed one of the High Templar before they morphed, but that's okay. My opponent has +2/2 upgrades. Those crazy upgrades. Those some sick upgrades. Now remember the micro we did in the last game? Let's control-click the Immortals, move them forward, and try to click on the enemy Immortal. Now because they can't really get in range, we're just going to A-move them now. Oh, my Colossus get jumped on. So if we can grab the Colossus and try to pull it away, that'd be good. Great flank from my opponent, guys. Look at that. Really good engagement there. Great engagement. That Zealot flank was god tier. All right, so we're making more Zealots and more of these units. I'm going to start making more Immortals behind this. And it looks like they're actually going to take us out here, guys, because they've got much better upgrades than us. We screwed around a little bit too long. I could micro my way through this. But for now, just keep warping in Zealots and Archons. That's it. Now, he's focus firing as well. Really well done. Let's send the Observer to see if there's a 3rd base somewhere. I didn't scout for that before. Oh, look at that. Okay, let's run these probes away. Looks like a Zealot warp in somehow got here. Let's warp in some Zealots at home, and we're going to activate battery overcharge, okay? All right, now I need to attack with my army at the same time, guys, so we're going to click that down there. Going to bring my Prism down, Shift Siege. And these guys are just going to A-move to make sure they're fighting that. Now, this is kind of scary, because his army could probably beat this army, but he's just not in position, which is good for me. Yeah, indeed he can. But I killed his whole probe line, which is good, so we're going to run away now and try to get out. But it looks like we can't really get out, so we're going to let the Archon die, and when that Archon dies, we'll run away. All right, we're going to just click to our side of the map. Don't do this. Don't do this. People always do this. Just click it to your side of the map, and then go home. Grab these probes, send them to the natural. Still a bit high, so we can grab a few more. Put on the gas, put on the minerals. All right, so what we're going to do, guys, we're going to F2 our army. Bring it here. Control 2. That Prism's going to die. That's all right. We're going to make another Archon, more Zealots, and we're just going to go again. We're just going to keep making Zealot Archon, and we're going to go. My opponent has 4 bases, so definitely we could take a 3rd. We're going to keep it simple this game, guys. Keep it really simple. So let's move over here. We're going to attack this 4th. We're trying to get in. It's all about winning the fight at this point, because my opponent has an income advantage. Even though I killed all the probes on the 3rd, We know their army's going to be better than mine, and they've got way better upgrades. So we're just warping in zealots at home, adding them to our army with shift, and we're just going to look for that fight. Now, this is where you A-move across the map. No, because look at the army. They're all spread out in a column. Dark made this mistake 3 times against Clem the other day. 3 times. And it was really painful to watch him attack in a spread out column like that. Oh, look, we're catching the Immortals and the and Zealots. Now, if you move past, guys, you can try to surround them. They've got 3-3. We're so screwed. All right, pull back. Why? Because there's Immortals behind us. Let's kill those guys. Now, I know it's hard. Pull back. Stay clumped up. We don't want to chase into that natural. We're going to make more Zealots. Shift 2. And I think he's got us. The upgrades are just a bit too good. Really good reinforcements from my opponent as well. We're going to try to fight. There is micro I could have done here, but it was a bit too advanced for us in this league. So technically, there are still ways to win this game, right? But we can't win front on. So we're going to run around. Shift click in the base. These guys are going to click in that base. And we're going to go back to Colossus. Now, the best thing we could do is actually make disruptors right now, but we're not allowed to make disruptors till Platinum League, so got to follow my own rules. Now notice these zealots getting surrounded. So we're just going to kill one probe and send them to the top. Apparently they path that way around the nexus. What is going on? Is this walled off? That was very odd pathing. So we're just going to defend 2 bases for now, guys, with Arc on Colossus. Try and build up a big ball again. At the same time, looks like these zealots are doing pretty good. That's also extra micro. Notice they were stuck behind each other, so I moved them in to get surface area. You know, a little bit extra, what can I say? Alright. So, we're going to go for 2 Colossus. Let's go for 2 more after that. And let's actually... I don't think I have enough gas here, actually. Yeah, this is basically game over. Well, we've got a good army. Let's use battery overcharge. And try to defend. And just keep trying to attack and pull back. I just can't lose any units, guys. Attack. Pull back. And now I'm just fighting with the Colossus, not the Archon. There we go. And he can one-shot the Colossus when he decides to click on them. So, I'm sure I'm dead. We're absolutely dead. We just took a bit too long to fight here, guys. A bit too slow on dealing with the Prism. Really well done by Reveal. Gets a 3rd. Macros up. Takes double upgrades. Plasma shields wouldn't have been as effective as going for armor upgrades. Notice you can pull back weak units like this sometimes. It's really effective. More Zealots is also really effective. You notice how quickly the Immortal killed the Colossi? Beautiful. GG, well played. Pig, with this playstyle, do you consider building proxy pylons in addition to your frontal war prism for flanking warp-ins? Because we're just doing a frontal attack to kill the opponent? No. If we're playing a macro cycle style, it's always good, big styles, to start building some pylons on the edges, and you could even proxy gateways on the corner to get fast warp-ins and that sort of stuff. Let's analyze fundamentally what went on here. So my opponent did a 3rd base build, very similar style, right? Robo and stuff, but they took a 3rd base, and then they went double forge. And they went double forge very early as well. So their army right now is much worse than mine, right? I'm 2 more Immortals higher, 2 Colossi. Like, that's pretty damn good. So if I hit with Archons added on top of this, and I went and hit a sharp timing, we probably just kill them, right? Let's check the early worker build-up to see how good their early worker build-up was. Like at 4 minutes, let's check. Their macro looks pretty smooth from what I can see. We were slightly ahead on probes though. So you can see I was just slightly ahead on probes. They had a few unnecessary gaps in their probe count. So they were down like 4 workers. Their natural didn't saturate until a bit later than mine. So we were ahead on the raw numbers. But remember I said, hey, I'm going to react slowly to that Zealot drop. Because I moved my army to respond and then I was like, I'll let this F me up a bit. Remember, I moved and then I pulled back. I was like, no, let's keep moving out. Let's imagine I react slower to put myself in a bit of problem. And then I also pulled the probes late, which means I lose like 12 probes here, maybe more. This is a lot of probes. Remember, I was on 44. I end up on 31, 30. That's 14, 15 probes going down. That's a lot of workers, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so at this point, we probably should have moved across the map with a bit more urgency. And arguably, you don't need so many Stalkers to stop a Prism, right? I probably could have just used 3 Stalkers and brought the rest with my army. Sending a whole 6 Stalkers is definitely overkill for 1 Prism. But if they do unload zealots on top, or if we're not watching to focus fire, it's nice to have extra stalkers. But the other question is, do we need to reprobe strategically? Does this make sense? So what happened? We lose 15 probes to a drop. Pig rebuilds them, then goes to attack and is barely defended, right? I almost killed him with the counterattack. So what went wrong, guys? So my opponent has just traded 9 zealots for 15 probes, which is actually a negative trade. That's actually a bad trade. Now, killing probes is good because in the long run, that means I'm going to be losing income. But wait a second. Wait a second. Aren't I going for a 2-base all-in? I am, aren't I? So the fact that I'm going for a 2-base all-in, this actually... The 9 zealots for 15 probes is a negative trade. It's also a trade that is especially bad against my 2-base all-in. Why is it bad, guys? You know, if I sit back and wait too long, it's worth it because I'm even lower on mining, right? And he has time to build a bigger army than me with his probe advantage. If I attack straight away, it's like pulling 15 probes into the battle and using them to kill 8 zealots, which is amazing. It's actually really good. Normally pulling 8 probes into a fight is not gonna, 15 probes is not gonna kill 8 zealots. So basically all this does is it makes my 2-base all-in stronger. This just makes my attack stronger. So what should I have done? Don't rebuild probes. Leave just a few stalkers at home and go hard for the attack immediately. And kill. Reasons. Reason 1. This was already my plan. Stick to the plan. Reason 2. I just lost probes, so my already weaker economy is now even weaker, but my army lost nothing whilst he lost army. So my army should be even stronger. If you think about this in terms of the simple fundamentals of StarCraft, if you have your economy over here, and then we've, economy can be blue like minerals. And then we have your army over here. So basically what's happening with the 2-base all-in is he is continuing to build his army up, right? But his economy, sorry. Whereas I'm continuing to build my army up. But that means my economy is less. So I need to go and trade before he turns the economy into the army. This is a terrible visual representation, by the way. But essentially, this is just the basics of StarCraft. You're doing a 2-base timing. You can't let them distract you for too long. To put it in really simple terms, Warp Prism distract me, my brain's stupid, me get confused. I think that's probably the best way we could have put it. Like even here, I should have just chased. Because if I could run down a bunch of those units running home, which to be fair, Immortals and Stalkers are slow. And if we've got enough Zealots, they are much faster. They will kill. If I kill a few of those Immortals on the way home, that'll be great. But you can see, look, 58 probes. The income is massive. And we're giving him time to get 2-2. We're giving him time to make more Archons, Immortal Zealots, Archons, Immortal Zealots. So if I attacked a little bit earlier, this could have been way better. And good starter step. Great micro by Reveal here. You know, really impressive. Reveal pulling back to the choke point. What should I have done, guys? I should have pulled back into a ball. So his units are attacking into the choke point stuck behind each other. My Immortal Archon could have defended my Colossus, and I think I still could have won the game here. But the Zealot flank from the south was really smart, and he targets the Colossus one at a time. Probably should have just A-moved the Zealots, but that's good enough. And actually gets both Colossus while picking off my Archons in the wall. My Immortals are all shooting Zealots. Beautiful play by Reveal there. GG's. Alright guys, we got ourselves a Terran opponent. Woohoo, Bloomis. Oh sorry, ZERG. They are a Platinum ZERG player. So let's get on down here. Once again, guys, if you want to send this probe out a little early, that's fine, but I think it's fine to just send this. And the reason is we want to build that pylon right on 100 minerals, and you can see, oh, it's 130 minerals when we build it. Technically, not as early as it could have been. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. And we're just going to keep building these probes. So we want to have 2 probes queued up so we can go for that 16 gate, 17 gas. So you can go for the gateway across the map, control group the probe. And if you want to optimize this, you can immediately chrono boost, build the gas, queue up an extra 2 probes. So waiting for 50 minerals, tapping it, and then we can reselect the probe using that control group and go scout the main, scout the natural. Notice that was way more efficient because normally what I've been doing up to now is build gateway, then queue the probe across the map. But because I'm control grouping the probe, the scout, it makes it easier to do that. Now, I've got 2 more probes building. Let's rally to the natural with the next one, as we normally do. There is a drone here. Rally back to the gas. We want to go control 3. Number 2, number 3, number 2, number 3. Gonna build that nexus. Thankfully, he doesn't block me. Add to the control group. Double tap, send to the camera location, recreate it. Main base, natural, wall off. We can build the cyber core. Back to mining. And now we resume probing. So we start a probe, we build a second gas, we then rally onto that, we queue up another probe, and then we go for that pylon, right? Same as always. So really getting comfortable with this build order now. And now we just want to keep queuing up probes, right? Beautiful. We look at the other side of the map. Notice I'm scouting with my eyeballs, guys. First thing is I saw the spawning pool in the base. You see that blue dot behind the mineral line? That's a spawning pool. Second thing is we see the hatchery. So I can select my probe and already jump to my natural, click it home. I don't even need to look over there. We're going to build a stalker and a warp gate. Let's chrono boost both of those. If you guys don't want to chrono the warp gate, totally fine. Like I've said before. If there's an overlord nearby, guys, what you want to do is you want to rally the stalker to the other side, because when we shoot it, the overlord will run away. And we want the overlord to run away from the pillar. So if we shoot it from there, we're going to shoo it automatically in the opposite direction. Now let's keep macroing, build probes, chrono them, and our robo's kind of late this game, so whoops, let's build that robo, start another stalker. Now if you want, you can kill this faster by moving underneath it, so we do this. And the reason is, otherwise, the unit will just shoot at it at its maximum range, and it won't move closer until it realizes, oh, I'm out of range. And then it wastes time when it could be attacking. Let's queue up more probes right now, guys, and of course, next up is going to be our 2 gateways. I think it's a good idea to build the 2 gateways before the 3rd gateway unit. Let's build those, get the pylon. We can see it times out decently enough. So we're going to keep building probes. So we're trying to queue them up. Notice I don't have a lot of minerals, so I'm really trying to queue up as many as I can. Awesome. And now we can get that stalker as well. Observer, we can chrono. And we do need more supply, because just 1 pylon finishing isn't going to be enough. Once we're building out of the robo and 3 gateways, that's very expensive. I don't know what's happening in this game, guys, but I know it's a ZERG, so we need to make sure we're solid in the wall off. So I'm actually going to move my units there and press hold position, okay? Let's keep building probes. We'll get an immortal in the near future. Let's send our observer across. We're just queuing it through all the bases, the main, the 2/3, and then to sit outside, okay? Let's build an immortal, chrono it. And, oh, we're past 12 workers on gas, guys. So we're going to take those 2 natural gases, which I'm getting faster at than last week, but you can see we're still not as quick as we potentially could be. Now let's get second robo bay. Oh, we didn't make more gateway units, did we, guys? So you'll notice I'm kind of subconsciously doing this pro gamer thing, because I'm explaining so many other things. I'm not building gateway units. But if you want to be a bit safer, build a few stalkers, zealots, adepts, something here. I do think if we make more zealots after the first 3 stalkers and adepts in general, units that aren't as gas heavy, it will be better for our build in general. So we're going to try and get used to that, okay? Let's put guys on gas. So we're going to put 3 on each gas, okay? That was a bit of an awkward way of selecting it, but it is what it is. Build another immortal, chrono it. And build these pylons. We're just spreading pylons out everywhere, guys. Build one there. That'll give us plenty of supply. If we look at our worker count, we're at over 45, which is great. Now let's look at our scouting. We've got to start scouting a bit more. We see a roach warren, 2 evolution chambers, lots of gases, a lair. You can see because that's upgrading just from the graphic there. What does all this mean? It's a 2-base roach build. There's also an overseer making, so I'm going to pull back because that will reveal the observer. We're just going to set up in pervert mode here to see if there's any attacks moving out, okay? Just here. For now, follow the build. 2 Colossus, Chrono Boost them. We don't want to warp in gateway units, remember, not at this stage of the game. We want the Twilight and the Forge. Remember, we do want the Robos next to each other. Forgot that we worked so hard on trying to remember that. At least they're all in the same general area, the Forge, Twilight, Robos. So we can kind of do it all at once. It's not as awkward as it was in that first episode. You gotta build these habits, guys. So we can build 5 gateways, and then we can get Viagra started up as well. Gateways added to the control group. That's great. Now let's keep scouting because we just want to build a habit. Check there's no Spire. See what's popping out. One of the biggest things you want to look for against a Zerg is what are they producing? And look at that. That's a lot of roaches. Now what counters roaches? Immortals, guys. Luckily, with our build, I am naturally only building 2 Colossus, and that's good. We don't want any more than that. We don't want any more. We're going to go Forge with +1 charge and just Chrono Immortals from here. Technically, a few Disruptors would be amazing, but let's get a few more pylons around these structures, shall we? Most important is just Immortals, 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 because we're not building Disruptors till Platinum. And look at this giant army coming my way, guys. But because we've got a wall off, I don't even feel like I need a shield battery in this game. I'm just going to be building zealots, making more immortals. The immortal production is the most important thing, even more important than zealots or anything like that, really. Part of the reason why we go gateways and don't just build robo units is they just take so long to rally out and walk across the map. So we really want to be warping in aggressively when we get to that stage. So notice I pulled back and then A moved. Let's add this immortal into my control group. And don't chase into the open. That's where we're weak. Let's rebuild the Cybercore. Oh, one of my immortals ran out. Well, I'll let it die. Because normally you wouldn't have that reaction speed. So we lost an immortal because I didn't have a control group. Let's make sure our whole army is control group next time. So what are we doing, guys? We're literally just building pylons and immortals. Immortals are such expensive units. Technically, with a 2 robo build on 2 base, you could actually have a much lower gateway count. So we're going to pull back here. Just trying to make sure we A move, and then whenever he runs forward, we just right click back and then A move again, okay? Just making sure our army doesn't get spread out and kind of caught and isolated. Okay. Looks like we can move forward, and then we can click on that to kill it. Rather than just attacking it once at a time, we move forward and then click on it, okay? All right, Warp Prism's gonna come out now, guys. Now, remember the last game I took too long to attack and I lost the game. So that's why I should go attack him right now. Type 1 for go attack, 2 for wait and build bigger army in chat. You guys can vote right now. So 1 for go attack, 2 for wait to build a bigger army. Zealots. Everyone says go attack. A few people say wait. So you guys are wrong. Most of you are wrong. The reason is what we're falling into the fallacy of making decisions based on what happened last game, not what happened this game. So last game he had a 3rd base and 2 forges. He was building more economy and more workers than me. This game, this guy's been sitting on 2 base this whole time, still no 3rd base. And I'm making higher tech units. So the longer I wait, the more my army counters his army. Unless he surprises me with Mutalisks or something like that, the further ahead I'm getting. So there's no need to attack. Don't get me wrong, my army's getting ridiculously powerful, so I can probably go kill him now. But I've waited a minute or two building a few extra immortals. If I wait for these last 2 immortals, this is going to be the most one-sided fight of all time. Like, I'm talking disgusting. And here's like, look at this, pull back, and his army is just going to get destroyed. He's killing some of my gateways, funnily enough. Let's just keep warping in zealots. People were saying warp in stalkers. Stalkers are the lowest value unit you can ever build in any situation, guys. We do not ever build stalkers unless we need something to shoot up in an emergency. We'd rather get Stargate units to shoot up, but in an emergency, we might make stalkers. Now you can see we lost almost no units here because we built a critical mass of immortals to the point where they're one-shotting like 5 roaches at a time. So there we go, more zealots. We can make +2 behind this if we really want. If we want to get ready for a macro game, guys, we go 3rd base and 4th base. This pig build sucks. GG, well played. Yeah. This pig build sucks versus the new pig build. Damn it. Damn it.
Mineral cluster expended.
The units lost tab will be absolutely hideous. Yeah. It's like over 3 to 1 there. I didn't have my camera locations on my third and fourth, but if you do decide to play a longer game, you want to start thinking about a transition. I'm not really going to transition to 3 and 4 bases, but the way we learn to do this, guys, is you batch things up. You go, oh, I've got 1,000 minerals. You go to your natural, you select a probe. You jump to your third, build a nexus. Jump to your fourth, queue, build a nexus. And then if you want to add another piece of tech, say we wanted to go Storm, we start Psystorm. And we warp in some High Templar to gather energy. And then you just keep doing the same stuff. And then maybe you rally all your probes to your third. You would select the nexus, add it to your hotkey, set the rally point, you know. We could work on that down the track. We don't really care about third bases until we're in Platinum League onwards. But for now, I just want to bring back to that decision making that I outlined for you guys, which is last game, the longer that went by, the more time my opponent's advantaged economy and upgrades would have time to pay off. In this game, I'm the one making upgrades. I'm making +1. I'm making charge. I'm making double Robo Bay units. So I'm making a very high tier anti-ground army on 2 base. My opponent is making a low tier army on 2 base. Just mass roaches with +1 and roach speed. 2 base is not even starting a third nexus. So there is no onus on me to go fight at all. The bigger army I build, the more I just make sure I don't die. Like, I'm building a better army than them. In general, ZERG wants to have more economy than us. If ZERG's on even or less economy than us, building low tier units, we're building super high tier units, there's no reason to go push. The difference in the other game was my opponent was at 58 probes. I was on 30 probes. They were at double my worker count. In this game, look at the worker count. I'm actually up 5 workers. But to my knowledge, I was about even, which is still good enough. Yeah. Regarding attacks in unit AI, will the unit AI always attack things that are closest, or will units actually do it optimized in a sense? So there's different threat priority for different units. Your units will never attack an Overseer if there's a fighting unit within their acquisition range, because the Overseer is not a fighting unit. Same for a worker. They will never attack a worker over a fighting unit, unless that worker is given an attack move command, at which point the enemy units register it as a fighting unit and it has a higher threat level. Most fighting units have the exact same threat level. I forget what the number is, right? The only difference is a few units. Like, for instance, Thors will always target Mutalisks and air units over ground units if there's air units in range. I believe. Is it any air unit they'll focus? Because I know they'll shoot Mutalisks. Will they shoot like a Viking if there's like a Marine in range of their ground attack? I don't know how that works, actually. I'm not 100%. I think it's not a Viking, because a Viking can't attack them. So the reason they wouldn't shoot a Viking or a Phoenix is that unit doesn't shoot down. But if the air unit can shoot down, the Thor will target it. Yeah, the Thor will target it for sure. Aleph says, I think the Raven has a higher priority. I think the Raven and most spellcasters count as fighting units in most scenarios. But yeah, I don't think they're higher than units. I think they're just the same as army units, usually. I don't know the exact numbers on it. I do know how my units are going to behave in most situations. So if you put me in the battle, I will intuitively know what the units will do, because I've played a lot of games. Observers, they're not a fighting unit. They're just going to be like an Overseer, a non-attacking worker, or anything like that. Yeah. But fighting spellcasters do have higher attack priority. Spellcaster is just below air units, which can shoot back. So Raven will be below a Banshee against a Thor, for example. Good point. Yeah, also units will always target carriers over interceptors. It's something they changed in the last year or so, so that's something important to remember. All right, going into a PVT, we did a little worker split. We just split one worker to the edge. Even just doing that is quite nice. So we're going to build a few more probes here. Good luck, have fun, no worries. We are on the Eastern US server, and that should be all good. So let's set up our camera locations. Main base, natural, and warlock. Get the pylon. Build a few more probes. We've got 2 more probes queued up, and then we go 3rd base, 4th base, 5th base, and then we check. Main, natural, 3rd, 4th, 5th, rally point. Well, I say rally point, but it's what I call it, because it's the rally point when you're a ZERG or a TERRAN, but it's actually your warp-in point as Protoss, so it's kind of funny. Playing all 3 races, my terminology sometimes, drones are probes are SCVs, you know, barracks are gateways, factories are robo bays and all that sort of stuff. The words all get jumbled in me brain. You guys can figure out what I mean, I hope. If you can't, like, oh, I was wondering how I was supposed to be building myself a factory with Protoss this whole time. I thought I had to get an infestor somehow. You're a parasite. So we see the barracks is at home. Check 1, we're not being cheesed. Set the rally point back to the gas. Control group is my builder, and we're under attack, are we? Ooh, okay. We'll have to deal with that in a little bit. Looks like this man's gonna block me. Add to control group. Double tap. Send to the camera location. Set the rally point. Build the cyber core. Rally back to the gas and resume probing. We're gonna set the rally point there. Build the second gas. Now, like I said, we're screwed. We're gonna lose the probe, right? Are we though? We see a command center, so we can just go home. No worries. All right, let's queue up some more probes. Oh, time for the pylon, guys. We got distracted there. Do not get distracted for building your pylon. And we probably should have built the pylon over here, because building robos over here is a bit easier to lose them to drops, but that's okay. Not everything has to be perfect every single game. Now, here's a funny thing, guys. Looks like this probe did not get clicked on the gas. He's just standing there. Good to notice that. And we should be good. 16 on minerals, 3 on gas, 3 on gas. What do? We rally to the natural. We make our first Stalker and Warp Gate. Now, because we're playing a Terran, he can jump a Reaper up this ledge. So, against Terran, we want to rally the Stalker to our main ramp, okay? Very important. Let's keep building probes. We can drop a Chrono on one. And, let's get that Robo started, shall we? Haven't started that yet. Whoops. Is there another probe just standing there, guys? The hell? I guess I somehow had that clicked next to it. Anyways, we'll build another Stalker. I guess we can Chrono Boost that just for safety. And we should be looking pretty good. Lots of probes queued up, a Stalker building, Robos on the way. So next up is going to be about 35 supply. We want to build those 2 gateways. Thank you, Lucas. Thanks for hanging out. Time to get back in the ladder, maybe. All right, we want to build a pylon after these 2 gateways, remember. Just build that there. And we're looking pretty good. Build some more probes. Remember, guys, oh, hello. I happened to look up here to build an observer, and we see the Reapers. Both my Stalkers weren't control group, but they are now. So notice we moved forward to try to stutter step onto that, and it kind of cost us a little bit, actually, so we might have been able to kill it otherwise. All right, Reaper goes down. What do? Macro cycle, guys. Probes, units, build an observer. Other units, build another Stalker. Pylons. That's a macro cycle. Doing that instinctively after being distracted by harassment is huge. Always complete a full macro cycle. And now I'm thinking about what's next in my build. Oh yeah, I need to get the gases, right? Let's get the gases. And then we're going to go the Robo in the second base. Observer, put that on our scouting hotkey. So that's replacing the probe that was on there. We're going to scout the whole main base and then sit outside to see if there's a move out, okay? Let's do another macro cycle, build some probes. That should be the last probes we need. That'll take us to about 45. I'll build 1 more just to be safe. And we can put on gas straight away. Notice here, I sent 4 there. So what can I do? Grab 1, click it there. Okay. Let's build another Immortal. Let's make those extra Stalkers just to be safe. Or I gotta make Zealots there, don't I? Zealots would be a lot better to save on the gas. Ah, well. Let's get the second Robo and the Robo Bay, and we're going to build them right next to each other just to make this nice and easy, and then rally back onto that gas. If you pull off gas to build buildings, got to be very careful to put them back. Thank you. Oh my god, it's Marsh. Appreciate the love, dude. Check it out, guys. What have we seen? A 3rd command center. A big sign of greed. Your opponent cannot do a great attack against you if they're taking a fast 3rd. Good to know. Means we don't have to worry about anything. Let's build some more pylons. Let's get the Twilight and the Forge over here as well, guys. Not too far away from the Robo, so we can use both together. And what are we building, guys? Well, we've rallied an Immortal across the map. Oh god, there's an Immortal outside their base. What just happened? What's that? Oh, Widowmine drop! Okay, guys. Tryhard detected. Now, if you ever get Widowmine dropped and they're not revealed after they fire, that's because they've got an armory. So what are we going to do? Recall the Observer. And what we're going to do is we're going to move our army and the Observer here. Put them on the same hotkey. And we're going to move forward, kill. And now we A-move the main to do the same thing. Hold the probe key down. Click the main back on its own mineral land. Natural back on its own. And let's go back to producing. Colossus. Chrono Boost. +1 and charge. Chrono Boost. Okay. We want to get the Viagra next up. And lots of pylons. And then we need to get those gateways as well, right? So we're making the 2 Colossus, and then we're going to make a Warp Prism and an Immortal. We're going to try and kill him. Because why? Well, my opponent's floating a third base out, right? We know he's taking a quick third. That's going to give us a beautiful attack angle to do the attack, which we'd already planned before the game even started. Thank you, Reval, for the raid, by the way. Thank you so much for the love. Hope you had a great stream, my friend. All right, guys, so 5 gateways go down. Build an extra pylon there. Now, remember, that's a little bit early for this, right? Why am I pausing the gateways? Because it's more important to keep up immortal production. I didn't have money. Because one of those is a prism, actually. There we go. All right. So now we can build the 5th gateway. Now we can build the Templar Archives. Now we can build more pylons. Because these are our last 2 robo units, right? This prism and this immortal. Because we want to get going now. My opponent's being greedy. We don't want to give him time to let that 3rd base pay off. Like in the previous match. So this is actually going to be really effective. We can just get going right now. What's he got here, guys? That's a Viking. We're going to warp in a few Stalkers. We're going to put them on our hotkey. And we're going to bring some probes as well. Just attack that with whatever we've got. All right, now how do you go back to mining? I'm A-moving after it. All you need to do is A-move after the Viking. Control-click the probes. Send them back to mining. Rest of my army moving across the map. Where's the warp prism? I literally cannot see the warp prism, guys. Where is it? I've just F2'd to find it. Oh, it's on my ramp. So I went F2, and then I selected the prism, and then I clicked on the portrait to find it.
Search completed.
All right, guys, let's get a few Archons here. We've got 600 gas, so 1, 2, 3, 4 High Templar and some Zealots. These guys are going to come across the map. We're also going to send the Observer forward to scout ahead to see what we're going into. Let's make Archons. And my prism is going to replace the Observer hotkey. So the Observer doesn't get a hotkey anymore, okay? Now, because we deflected those Vikings, that's good. Oh, there's a Thor outside his base. Okay. Now, you might think, oh, God, a Thor. What am I going to do? A Thor gets absolutely destroyed by Immortals. We're just going to wait for a few more Zealots, build a few more Pylons, and we're just going to go in for a big old win here. And I feel very confident, because I don't think in 8 minutes my opponent's 3rd base will pay off. I don't think the bunkers and turrets really help for them either. They've got a lot of unupgraded Marines, a single tank, a single Thor. This should be about as easy as it can be. If you want, you can control-click Colossus and try to click them on the Marines or any small units that are exposed. But I think this is totally fine as it is. There's a Zealot that'll kill all the SCVs there. That came out of nowhere. GG. And that's just a very simple timing attack. But, yeah. Basically, my opponent was doing a really greedy mech build. This is a classic thing you'll find all the way through to Diamond 2. A lot of players invest in really stupid things. No offense to Medic. Medic's a newer player to StarCraft, but there's... Sorry, not stupid, but... Oh, this is not a mech build. Okay, so not stupid things. That's harsh language, but too many different things. So Medic did a fast 3rd command center build, guys, but Medic has built Silver League turrets. So this is probably the biggest thing which I'd like Medic to address. Don't build random turrets around your base. You're already being really greedy taking a 3rd base, so the threat is simply dying to a frontal attack. So to invest in turrets everywhere actually makes you more exposed to dying to a frontal attack, because you're investing in these, and like this turret in the back, I don't... So this is a Silver League turret, is what I make fun of these for, is because they're defending the back of the mineral line, and this is the edge of the map. Nothing's coming from that side, right? So if you want to defend the mineral line, you put it smack bang in the center of the mineral line, or you go like a turret here on the edge of the map, because that's where harassment comes in. You put like a turret up here and a turret up here. They can't harass you. Okay, but what if they come from the other side? Well, you put a turret down here, and then you're kind of cutting out drops from getting into your base. You're cutting down those drops. But this is a classic example of you're building a ton of workers, right? Look at this, guys. 20 worker advantage. Lots of static defense that doesn't help you. There's an armory getting mech upgrades, and Thors are being built. We really do not want to be building Thor bio. So the problem you're having here is you're stuck between a bio, a mech, and a mech build, and you're kind of playing like a turtle mech player with like random static defense and this sort of stuff. But it's kind of like very awkward. The other thing is, don't invest in engineering bay upgrades so early. You don't need any of these upgrades this early. If you're going to play bio, you need to go stim and combat shields as the biggest priority. With a single +1 attack upgrade can start about the time stim and shield starts, but you don't want to be starting all these different things. In this game, we're going Thors, which is just a random unit to go. The turrets, random, scratch those from the build. Don't go upgrades so early. You want to go stim and shields. More importantly, if you're playing bio, and you really just want to focus on simplifying your build. This build at the moment just looks way too complicated. There's too many different random things going on, and that's a big issue. I can address this. This is my normal procedure. So many people like to do DT drops and stuff like that. Yeah. So just build a single turret in each base in the mineral line. It's going to be way better. Because the problem with this one is this doesn't even cover like here. DTs could be on your production. You wouldn't even see it. DTs could get in your base. You wouldn't even see it. So don't, just because you die to DT drops once or twice, you can't change your whole build for it. If you want to build, and the thing is, if you think about it, if you just build a single turret on your natural here, or in your mineral line, that's going to cover you against most Dark Templar that walk into your base will die as they run past if you build a turret here. And then, yeah, if you get dropped, you can always just grab the SCVs, run them to your natural, move your army up, scan, clear them up, and then build turrets reactively. You can't be building 3-4 blind missile turrets for no reason. It's really bad. I hardly ever build more than one. You built 3 or 4 this game. Too many. But yeah, don't be building Thors either. Makes no sense. There's too many different kind of weird things going on. You can just build a Raven every game as well. That's what some people like to do. That's an option. If you're really worried about DTs, you can change your build for that. But yeah, you got to just simplify your build. What I can tell from this build is you have no timing attack in mind. The Thor was a misclick. It was a fat finger. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. Because if you had a timing attack in mind, I feel like you'd be much more focused with what you're executing on here. So try to make sure you're hitting a sharp, 3 base marine tank timing or something like that, and you'll get way better. Widowmine harass. Yeah, I wasn't ready for the Widowmine harass. That's actually a good point. Okay, so what if that happens a lot? I don't know how much people actually Widowmine harass, but I think we saw there that just not reacting is often fine. So what was this? Verse Widowmines, right? Verse Widowmine drop. So ideally what you want to do is you just have your units pre-split between mineral lines once you get to the level of ladder where mine drops and other drop harass or libs are more common. And that just kind of defends it automatically. If I just had my army split in my mineral lines, pretty easy, right, guys? That's like super simple, yeah? Otherwise, just box or control click probes and run away, assuming you react quickly enough. If you react slowly, do not pull your probes. Just take the shot. How many people out there, and I guarantee you there is a very high relationship between the people who go, oh shit, there's a Widowmine about to fire. If you notice it and the Widowmine's already burrowed, it's too late. Fucking just leave them. But how many people, they're the ones who make Reddit threads complaining about Widowmines every day. They grab the whole mineral line and they panic click it away, so all the probes clump up and the Widowmine kills 15 probes, and it would have killed like 3 or 4. Sometimes 8, sometimes they get a big shot, but rarely will they get 8. It's pretty rare, and they'll often get 1, 3, 4 probes. And even pros do it sometimes. Yeah. So this is one of those things. It's like, just let them sit there. Same with Hellions. It's the exact same thing with Hellions. Don't pull your drones versus Hellions. The only time you see pros run drones is when they do it early enough. The Hellions are still a screen away, so they've got time to put an Evo down and block and do all this fancy micro. But if you're not going to get out of dodge in time, all you're doing is stacking your drones up, your workers against the Hellions. All right, guys, let's go. We've got a probe moving down to the natural. We're playing against Cosmic in a PvP. Full disclosure, we're going to be playing completely normal. Thank you for the big 5 gifted subs, Alex. Trying to set off yet another hype train. Holy crudsicles. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. Okay, so full disclosure, guys, this is Radhuset, and this is a map which is very different to the rest of the maps in the pool. You will face people doing very greedy plays on this map, and occasionally just doing big all-ins to try to catch out people who are playing greedy. Like I mentioned, so many people playing greedy, you're also going to have people trying to all-in to take advantage of it. So just something to keep in mind. And hopefully we can face that here and show you guys how to deal with differences on this map. Now, keep in mind, until we're pretty high level, we don't want to change the build. We want to stick to the build. We want to learn the art of reacting in small ways rather than big ways. Because that is StarCraft. You do not want to be sent to the camera location. Sorry guys, I'm playing a little bit too fast right now. Let's stop, slow down. So basically, you want to make small reactions. You don't want to change your entire build every time, you know, there's some slight difference here or there, okay? Double tap the camera location, set it, set the rally point. Second gas, onto gas. Cue one more probe. We want to go 22, second pylon. Lots of production space there, very nice. Alex with another gifted sub. Thank you so much, my friend. Here we go. All right. So we've got our probe just hiding behind the natural, seeing if there's an expansion going down. And otherwise, we're just probing on up. Looking super chill. Let's go Stalker Warp Gate. And you know what, guys? I know a lot of people are like, hey, don't chrono Warp Gate. Let's try it. Let's try to not chrono Warp Gate here. I feel like just getting in the habit of chronoing things is good. Since we're doing a robo rather than a quick, like robo before 3 gates, it's probably a good idea to chrono more probes and more stalkers rather than it is to chrono the warp gate. I think when you're started, it's just nice to get used to chronoing multiple things at once, you know? That's why I like to do it. Now we'll chrono a second stalker here, get that one going, and we do see a nexus, which is great, so we can bring this probe home, okay? Alright, so let's build a few more probes, guys. Oh, what do we see? Oh, we died. So there's some stalkers there. Well, at least that's not adepts, so we don't have to worry about adepts running into our base, which is good. And I just keep tapping probes. I'm not really doing full macro cycles yet, but we will start doing that in a moment. So, Robo's almost finished, preferably before we start Robo production, just so we don't get distracted. We want to build 2 extra gateways, build a pylon here as well, back to mining. Let's pull in behind our wall so we're a little bit safer. Start the 3rd Stalker, start the Observer, which if we double tap our Robo hotkey, jumps us there. Chrono. And now it's macro cycle time, guys. 4 probes. Already got the Stalkers building. We want to start an Immortal in a moment as well. We can control group the Observer, send it across, and then we select the Robo to do the Immortal. If I had the money, I would have built the Immortal straight away, but I didn't. So I was like, what's an extra action that I can just do in between? So always trying to, if you guys don't have the money, I see too many players sitting here going, oh, I need money, and they just sit there pressing the button. If you can squeeze an extra action in between, that's really great. Queue up 4 probes. You know what, I'm going to quickly take these just because while I'm doing this, I notice I'm low on saturation, but finish the macro cycle, guys. Queue up another Immortal. Normally, we don't interrupt a macro cycle for anything, even if in the middle of it you realize like, oh, it's time to do this or that. Try to put it on your kind of shopping list and do it after you're finished the macro cycle. There we go. I was just waiting for money to warp in 3 zealots, and then we can build the pylons after as well. We're a bit low on money, so I can't build another pylon. So what are we going to do? Put on gas. Put on gas. One of them we can send back. Still a little low on probes. Build a few more probes. Now we can build the rest of the pylons. Now you might be wondering, well, why didn't you just build all the pylons at once? We didn't have the money. Is that real or is that a hallucination? We don't know. It's a phoenix. We don't really care too much, okay? What do we see? Carriers. Yeah. Oh my opponent's building carriers, guys. Okay, this is one of the first games where we have to really respond quickly and hard. Okay, so what are we going to do to respond to that? Well, I was about to go second Robo Bay. Let's imagine I went for that because it's a bit slow anyway. Let's imagine I've already built another Immortal before I notice this. We're going to make this kind of hard for myself. So, first things first, guys, is we want to go for an air swap ourselves. Now, that's kind of wild. Or do we? Actually, if it's only 1 Stargate, we might be able to just kill it. Oh, geez. You know, I haven't really thought about in this particular scenario. Oh, this is the fun part of the build. Okay, I'm going to show you guys a really simple way of doing it. I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but this will be fun. So we're going to make a few more Zealots, an Immortal, a Warp Prism, and then we're just going to go. So what we want, guys, is we want to make a Twilight Council, a Forge, and we're going to make 5 more Gateways, and we're going to get ready for that big attack, okay? So we are going to need to go Blink eventually if we want to deal with the carriers like that. But we're not going to, because I really feel it's very hard to use those Blink Stalkers correctly, and I think it's better to just do a big 8-gate timing attack, and then behind it, we'll go into Stargates, okay? Now, the problem is, to use Stargates, we do need to actually take extra bases. So we've got to already start preparing for that thought. All right, let's make some more Stalkers here, guys, and we're going to move across the map. So we're going to move across the map, bring the Warp Prism, And we can start +1 and charge. And we're just going to build a few more pylons. We're not building robo units because they take they're too slow. They take too long to get across. Let's move our observer forward. As long as there's no cannons here, I think we should be able to break through. That's a cannon. That's going to be tough. All right, guys. So I think he's probably going to be able to beat this. And we're going to kind of try again after this game with something else. The reason I'm trying to show you guys a really aggressive response on the worst possible map is just to help flesh out my own thinking about what's easy to teach. Because I know what I want to do to get a free win here, but I don't know if gold players are ready for it. So that's why I'm trying to keep it a little bit simpler. All right, guys, we're going to whoop in a few more zealots, and then we're going to make a bunch more stalkers. And the whole idea here is we just want to basically A move and then control group our stalkers. So we're going to bring the prism forward. So stalkers, let's move the stalkers back a little bit. I want the zealots in front. Remember, we don't have charge yet, and that's fine. Stalkers are a bit faster than the rest of the army, so let's just go. All right, guys, we're going to go a few more stalkers, a bunch more zealots, and it's go time. So all we want to do, like I said, A move everything. We're going to control click the stalkers. Oh, force fields. That's, well, didn't account for that, did I, guys? Okay. So this kind of sucks. Let's pull back the prism here and let's go. Let's run forward with our stalkers if possible. So we can't break him, guys. So we're going to run away and we're going to have to explode. So go home with the whole army. Third base, there. Fourth base, there. What are we going to do? We're also going to take gases on that. Add Nexus to hotkey. Center it. Third base. Hold down probe key.
Mineral field depleted.
All right, we're also going to go over here and break these rocks. I believe it takes 4 trips to break down the minerals, so we'll do that later. Chrono boost probes, and then we want 2 stargates. I could have done this transition minutes ago, but like I said, I wanted to see if I could break him. I couldn't, and on this map, it's a terrible call to do that. That's why I'm way behind now, because it's so easy to defend with force fields, cannons. There's only one choke point. Technically, I could have gone in the back with a prism and maybe done some damage, but yeah. Now, you want to grab 4 probes, guys, and bring those across. Tell them to return their cargo first, but why is simplified command card on? Fuck off. All right, we're going to use these guys manually to open the back door, okay? Now, if you're going air, you want to make sure you get air weapons. That's the way to do it. And we're still probing up, guys. Just chrono boosting probes. Notice all my nexus are rallied here. When this nexus is saturated, we'll rally them all to the 4th and do the same thing there, okay? That one can rally. All right, let's get a fleet beacon. Cool. So at least we're scaring him because he's aware of what we're trying to do. I don't think we're really going to get any damage done here. We're just kind of scaring him, okay? So these probes, apparently they also came with minerals in their hand, which is a disaster. That's fine. So the warp prism's going to hide down the bottom. We're going to kill these rocks. I'm just going to put a zealot out front. So we A move, deselect a zealot, A move, deselect a zealot. The rest of the army's going to go home. Now the trick here, as we go into this, is we want to go mass air Stargate ourselves, okay? Now what count as carriers? Tempests. And this is where we start to get into the fancy unit counters of Protoss. Something which, as much as this style, I know some people have said, well, it's such a basic style you're teaching, why would you do that? When your opponent engages in very specific styles, you're going to actually be learning really cool unit counters. And that's part of Protoss, is the unit counter game. So I'm really excited to do that. So let's go. 5 Stargate Tempest. We're going to build 2 Tempests. Plasma shield upgrades on the Forge. Air upgrades on the Cyber Core, okay? Build a bunch more pylons. We could build cannons and batteries, but I don't really feel that rich. And we're stopping at 80 probes, okay, guys? We're also going to take another Nexus there. Build a pylon next to it, and get ready to take another one there, so that we can transfer workers as these bases mine out, okay? Now, if you want, you can build a cannon at each base, if you're worried about, like, DTs or something. I'm not really worried about that because, you know, they're playing Skytoss, but just in case, we want to have a little bit of safety. All right, guys. Tempests. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I don't have the 5th one. I'm watching those pips whenever I'm queuing up units. I keep tapping it. And now we can go chrono, 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 chrono. We can also get +2 ship weapons. All right, so what are we going to do? These guys are going to go on our 2nd army key. Our warp prism is going to go down here on this key. So it's ready to go in the back door and try to warp in units, okay? We don't have that much map vision, so let's send a zealot there, send a zealot there, send a zealot there. We're deselecting those. We then remake our army group. See, it's 27 units. Now it's 24. And we're going to make a few more. Now, you don't want to go mass Tempest, guys. You want to get enough Tempest to easily one-shot a carrier. So we're building 1, 2, 3, a few more of these. I don't know the number, but I think 8 Tempest should be enough to one-shot a carrier. Let's make it 9 just to be sure, shall we? I'm like, I don't actually know if that's enough. Let's get a Templar Archives because I want to support my army with Archons on the ground. He's actually got Tempest as well. Oh, we're going to have a fun Tempest war. This should be fun, guys. Now, this is where we want to build a few more Observers. And what we're going to do is we're going to make our Observer Speed, which is this one. You get Warpism Speed as well. Awesome. Now, the army, when it happens, all we're going to have is a bunch of ground shit that we A-move, and then we're just going to shift-click Tempest. That's like the entire fight, okay? Will this work? Will it not work? Well, only time will tell. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Let's go gases. So we're ready to transfer. And look at that. That base is actually half mined out now. So we want to create 8 of those. And just send them there. Okay, guys. Now, what's really crap tier in this army is our Stalkers. So we're going to replace those. Stalkers are just absolute garbage tier. And we're going to put some Observers out on the map. Put an Observer following. Put another Observer following. And what are we going to make, guys? Just a bunch of Archons, okay? Now, we really need lots of gateways. So let's try to build gateways wherever we can. Just saw something coming across the map. I'm not sure what it was. If that was mass carrier or not. I'm going to send another Observer out to try and see what's up. Oh, just a few zealots. Okay. Alright, guys. So we're just going to select these gateways and add those to our hotkeys. Oh, look at this, guys. The army is here. Okay. Okay, we're going to try to make more High Templar. And we're going to use our Observer to basically... All you want to do is shift-click the Tempest, okay? Ground army pulls back, and if he chases me, we pull back, okay? So we run away. All you do is just click really far away, and then you try to go back. And we just want to shift-click on the carriers when the big fight happens. Now, he's pulled back. He's given me a moment, which is good, because I need to morph Archons. And we need to go control-click all the gateways and add them onto our hotkey, okay? Let's get more Plasma Shields. Let's get +3 air. And we're going to go for another 2 Archons to round out our army, and then we can start A-moving stuff. Now, he's doing some fancy shit right now, guys. That's fine.
Probes under attack.
So we're just going to... All I'm doing is A-moving ground, and we're just shift-clicking Tempest on his Tempest. Okay, guys? That's all we're doing. A-moving ground, shift-clicking our Tempest on his Tempest. And because we've had an Observer following him this whole time, we have vision, except my Observer stopped following because I killed the unit it was following. So I'm now going to click it on one of these carriers, and what I'm doing is I'm shift-clicking it on the carriers. So if the one it's following dies, it'll go get the other one. Now notice my Tempest, if he attacked them with the carriers, we would have to pull them back. But for now, all I'm doing is just focus firing the carriers, okay? And the fact that this is a slow warp-in point is killing me. Can I... Here we go. There we go. Mass High Templar warp-ins. Remember, why are we doing that? It's because Archons are an A-move unit, and I'm a baboon. I don't want to have to micro stuff, okay? Now, he actually killed my army, which is really nice. Let's put guys on gas. Gas is always the limiting factor. And down here as well. Now, we traded armies, so it's going to be an economy game now, which I'm winning. How do I know I'm winning? He has 1, 2, 3, 4 bases. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going into 6. Now, I don't need to build more workers. Do not get excited. If you guys ever want to do this, just grab all these guys, right-click there, deselect one, grab them. We can send them all down here, put them on the gas, the most important part, and we're good. Now let's build more Tempest, guys, because I lost all of my Tempest, so we're going to try and build more. And we're going to make a lot of Zealots as well, just to spend my minerals. So the Zealots, I'm just going to dump those on 0, click them to their space, just to be annoying. And we're going to try to... Oh, his army's there. Okay, so we don't want to go into his army, do we? Maybe we do, actually. Maybe we... It looks like I have to fight. He's attacking me, guys, so we're going to have to just fight this army. That kind of sucks. I'm not really ready for it. But hopefully the Zealot count can overwhelm the ground. And then the Archons, you actually want to... Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's a new interaction. Okay, that's actually something that's changed with the new carrier AI, guys. It used to not be like that. One carrier drifted forward in his army, and it totally ruined the Archon AI, which makes the Archon AI used to be really easy. You actually need to micro now because of the new threat priority on the carrier. That's cool. We're learning new things during Bronze to GM. Basically, you have to hold position the Archons so that they kill the interceptors rather than going after the other units. Okay, guys? Anyways, we've got some Tempests out. Let's control click them. And what we want to do is want to pull back our army here, and we just want to let our Tempests work. So we're going to shift click the carriers and then the Tempests. And our Archons are here, and all we're going to do is just keep making Archons and Zealots, and we're just A-moving. But remember, if... Oh, my Tempests are going after the carriers. I mean, I'm doing very lazy micro, so I think it's fair enough. Normally, you would try to kill the interceptors, right, with hold position, like I was talking about. But that's only if they're on top of the carriers, the Archons. And you can see the carriers are now empty if we hold position. But if we move underneath, they'll attack the carriers because they're a higher attack priority. So this is kind of the difference I was talking about. Now notice I move commanding past to get on top, and then we're going to A-move them. All right, now let's go back to macro. Tempests. Lots and lots of Tempests. I'm queuing up as many as I can. We're going to go chrono them because I think my Archons should win that fight. And what else are we doing? Zealots. So what am I doing, guys? We're going to go F2, Zealots. And we are going to click these units, A-move, and then we're going to dump them on 0. So that's a Zealot counterattack. My Archons, meanwhile, trying to chase the Tempests. Caught most of them, it looks like. And we can just hide over here for a second. Let's grab our idle probes. Grab a few more from here. A few more from here. Using box shift, box shift, box shift. And we're going to send these guys here. Okay? Take the gas. We look over there. Looks like my Zealots are winning, which is great. Keep making upgrades. Extra plasma shields. Extra air armor. My Tempests. Control click. Second army group. Archons and Tempests are going to A-move now. We want to make more Archons. And we're going to send some more Zealots. I'm going to dump them again. We're going to click them up this top base. Make sure that one gets denied, okay? We're not actually looking at them, though, because our APM has to go towards our army management. Absolutely has to do that, okay? And notice we took all these gases. So let's box these workers, box shift, and then we use shift deselecting to put on gas, okay? Now, remember, even when our army and our game gets complicated, keep it simple. Keep it really simple. Just focus on A-move ground army, and the Tempests have to get focus fired. We've still got observers out here, so we're going to try and click one of these observers on the Tempests. And we should focus the Tempests if we're being very cautious in the fight. The reason I focused the carrier in the last fight is the carrier is a higher impact unit. Killing the carriers is more important. However, if I'm able to shoot and run and that sort of stuff, focusing the Tempest down makes more sense, okay? We've got an ad break that's about to play for the live viewers, so I really want to make sure I actually get this one done. Let's take another base with extra gases, and I think we'll win off doing that. I'm basically maxed out right now, guys. Just gonna F2, control click the Tempest, and we're gonna come in here. And basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna A-move our Archons on top, and we're gonna go and just shift click all of these carriers and Tempests down while our Archon Zealot A-moves. Now if we want to be super pro, you can pull the Tempest back, and notice he can't see my Tempest, but I can see his. So because his Tempests are pulling back, now I'll kill the slower, less maneuverable carriers. Never focusing on our ground army, guys. Never. Alright, let's go, guys. I'm going to pull my Tempest back. Why? It's Archon time. Archons and Zealots. Going to control click, control shift click. Add them to my army key. Morph Archons. These guys are going to come over and deny this base, which you can see he's long distance mining, so we know he's taking the gold. We're going to build a few more Tempests using our Stargate hotkey. And he's still got a decent army, actually. That's interesting. So we're going to move these Tempests south. We don't want them to die, guys. Click this onto the carrier. Tempests are running away. The Archon Zealot's going to fight. And what do? All we need to do, A-move the Archon Zealot in front, shift-click the Tempests on his flying units. And if they ever start shooting other things, make sure you let go of shift, just right-click them. In this case, look what I'm doing. Move forward, shoot. Move forward, shoot. So Tempests counter all capital ships, battle cruisers, carriers, all this sort of stuff. Now, once again, another big zealot wave. GG, well played. And we just want to keep clicking it up here. If we can keep him on 4 bases while I'm still mining all these new bases, and especially the gas on them, it's going to be really good for me. And remember, periodically, we just jump around our bases, or we control-click the idle worker button, and we just kind of add a few of these new Nexi to our hotkey, go around, add them, add them, add them, and you just kind of rally to a new base and build new probes. But I'm at 80 probes, so don't keep building probes. 80 probes is the magic number. That is the amount you want. So if I want to rebuild a couple probes, go for it, but no more than that. This base is actually really oversaturated, so I could have just moved these guys down there like that. And then as long as you just keep doing this every now and then, build a base, build gases. Build a base, build gases. Build a base, build gases. That doesn't take that many seconds, so try to get comfortable doing that all in one go. It's not like the early game where you're like, move probe to expansion, come back 30 seconds later, build nexus, come back a minute later, build 2 gases. We want to do things all in one go. GG, well played, Cosmic. We're going to do a very quick ad break, and then I'll break down exactly why our base build order needs to react harder and faster in this situation. This is obviously a game where we scouted what was going on pretty early, and I could have reacted much faster, gone straight for 4 bases in the Tempests, the Archons, and had a much easier time, right? Much easier time. Archons are great because they do kill the Interceptors really easily. Pig, why would you get such a high number of probes? Because we were playing late game. I was way behind in this game. And I knew I couldn't kill him early, so my opponent was playing a turtling style. So I have to beat him at his own game. So there's 2 ways you can play. When you scout your opponent going for a turtle style, which we're about to see here in a moment. So first things first, how do I know my opponent's turtling? I take a while to look at the observer. Let's take a look when I first look at it. Sorry. I can run my camera. Run my camera. Talking you guys through basics of the build. Bit slow on my second Robo Bay. Building some pylons. Doop-de-doop, doop-de-doop. So I took a very long time. I finally look at it, guys, and I immediately see a tell that my opponent is turtling. Going carriers. They're going capital ships. Now, technically, they can still attack you with 1 or 2 capital ships, but it's not exactly going to be a very fierce all-in. And when I look around the entire base here over the next few seconds, what do we see? Multiple static defense structures and super high tech. So these are signs of defense, right? These are not signs of aggression. So we know that my opponent is being very kind of defensive, right? And potentially greedy. Now, there's 2 ways you can play against this, okay? So let's tab out here. Versus Skytoss, Skyterran, turtle players. Let's put up a title for that. So, essentially, what are some tells, right? Lots of expansions, potentially. Well, not really, but yeah. Lots of tech. Lots of static defense. Yeah, that's the main one. Just lots of tech, lots of static defense. And then the inverse of those 2 previous points is a lack of low-tier production, right? So they won't have many barracks or gateways, etc., right? So those are some tells. So when it comes to the reaction itself, so basically branch 1, go effing kill them. Okay? So what could I have done to go and effing kill my opponent in this game? So what would be a good example, right? Example, go straight for Twilight and Blink and do a 2 base Blink all in, right? Just Blink on the carriers, BCs, focus them down, add charge lots if needed, try to win, right? Basically just try to hit them as hard as possible. Maybe warp zealots into their main at the same time. If they have a PF or cannons, maybe blink into the main base, to fight away from the static. Lots of good stuff you could do, okay? So branch 2, option 2. I guess we should just say option rather than branch. Make it simpler for people. Option 1. Option 2. Which is just going to be super easy. Macro. Macro up and kill them later. So what do? Immediately take 3rd plus 4th base. Probe to 80 workers. Make 2 Stargates. Start air plus plasma shield upgrades. Because plasma shield helps your air units, helps your interceptors, helps whatever you're doing. It also helps your Archons, which is really good in PvP. Because you want Archons, because if they have, say, 10 carriers, if you have 15 Archons and your Archons are in a ball, you can actually hold position and the Archons will just destroy the interceptors because the interceptors all swarm over them, but Archons do splash damage and they will actually mess them up. We pointed out in that game, you do need to hold position those Archons now, because it used to be the interceptors had the same attack priority as the carriers. But now that the carrier has a higher attack priority, what happens is the Archons will try, if the carriers are close enough, the Archons will stop attacking the interceptors and they'll start trying to attack it. And then your Archons kind of spread out and they're not concentrating their fire. And they're never going to kill a carrier. Like, they're pretty terrible at killing air units. But small air units like interceptors, they could do very well against. Now, obviously, you could just go carriers yourself if you're fast enough on this, right? If you're fast enough and mess them up. Void Rays wreck BCs pretty hard, but are very vulnerable to Widow Mines and Yamato. So for instance, you need to ambush the BCs if possible, so they don't just all Yamato, leaving Void Rays on 10 HP each. So that's something, right? Tempests are the ultimate anti-capital ship unit. Just use observers or oracles for vision and pick away from far. Shoot, pull back, shoot, pull back. Support this army with an A-move army. Something simple. If they do jump on you, if you let them get enough BCs, it gets incredibly technical. You need to have more bases and build 50 cannons and batteries outside their base. So if they teleport on you, they still get wrecked. Wrecked. I saw the funniest clip of like a guy, some guy's interaction with a police officer. I can't remember what it was. It was one of these dumb YouTube videos, and the cop was trying to tell him that he was spelling wrecked wrong. It was really funny. The guy was like, no, that's not wrecked. And he was like, the cop was using like the internet spelling. They're like, you just got wrecked. Rickety, rickety wrecked, son. It was funny. Anyway, it was just such a weird interaction. Anyways, Tempests are the ultimate anti-capital ship unit. Yeah. Highest level maneuver is to have Mothership out and use it plus Nexus Recall to quickly stack and recall your Tempests whenever they teleport on you. Once they use their teleport, you have 64-second cooldown to pick off as many BCs as possible whilst they run home. But if you mess up and they manage to teleport on top of your Yamato or your shit before you recall, obviously they can still kill a lot of your stuff. But you should be able to get up more bases than them. If you've let your opponent build 23-3 battle cruisers, you've already massively screwed up. Like, these are all edge case scenarios that you shouldn't have to deal with. Even the game I was in was an edge case scenario. Why, guys? Because I scouted at like 4 minutes. I could have already reacted. But even if I react at 5:30, I still would have had the easiest game ever here. Remember, I scouted, and then I was like, I know I shouldn't do this, but my second Robo Bay is late. I'll still put the money into it, even though I know I'm not going to use it. And then I'm like, you know what? I'll try to do a 2-base timing. But I don't want to use Blink. And I'm just going to, like, make a bunch of Stalkers, a bunch of Zealots and Immortals. We're just going to try and A-move on the ground. I wasn't expecting force fields and cannons. However, notice that his economy is less than mine. So what if I wasn't doing all this dumb shit? What if instead I could already have a 3rd and a 4th Nexus building and 2 Stargates building? And there we go. Pig, but what if you have an edge case scenario like that? But I just explained. I just explained all of these micro situations, these really intense, like these technical details only need to be used in cases where you fucked up earlier. Or, you know, very, very rare edge cases. So you use these things that I just described if you're in those scenarios. But otherwise, you just free win. Like this game, I could have just A-moved with my own. If I immediately went 2 Stargates now, by 8 minutes, I'm at 80 probes, maybe 8.5 minutes, I'm at 80 probes. He's still on 44 totaling. I still could have moved across with a small army if I wanted to try to scare him. But I could, at 8.5 minutes, have 80 probes, go up to 5 Stargates, start making my own carriers, and literally I could have just beaten him at his own game and just had more carriers than him by maybe 11 minutes. I probably would have hit like a timing. Maxed out carrier timing with like +2 air attack, +1 plasma shields. And he'd be, if we look at where he is at 11 minutes, now don't get me wrong, I threatened a lot and scared him into slowing down his build. But I guarantee you at 11 minutes, he was never going to be maxed out. And he was never going to have as good upgrades as I would if I started +2 and stuff straight away. He actually did build quite a lot of carriers, but yeah. So yeah, if you just go into this sort of later game army earlier, if you build your probes up earlier, it's amazing. When your observer first goes in at like 4 minutes react, I mean, that's god tier, man. Okay, this went back to 3 minutes. Yeah, this is a big map. Takes a little while to get there, but yeah, it's like 420, something like that. This observer sees what's up. It's 440 we can account for. It goes past the fleet beacon already, I'm pretty sure. So already seeing the fleet beacon was enough. But even if we don't react till 440, this is still so much time to get way, 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 way ahead, guys. Super ahead. Yeah, you'll destroy from here. So the big problem Cosmic had here, guys, is no vision management. And this is how we won these fights so hard, right? I had an observer. He doesn't have any observers. No oracles, no observers. My Tempests can shoot from maximum range. His cannot. And you can see, enough Tempests to one-shot units. Technically, I should have already turned around there and started focusing him. But I was microing nice and slow this game. We're about 135 APM. And that's including, you know, rapid firing in 10, 12 Archons at a time. So getting an observer out front is great. Oracles are even better because obviously you can't kill the revelation once it's on your units. But yeah, so you see here, this got kind of funky, but all we do is A-move our ground army and shift-click the Tempests, and it works real nice. Real nice. Now, obviously I shouldn't actually be moving in range with my own Tempests, but notice all we do is we just shift-click the carriers, and I should have pulled back here, because the moment the carriers get on top of your Tempest, they crumble. They are very weak, but I was purposely being very lazy. Pig, when would you add a mothership? Probably never. Don't really see what the point of it is. Alright, guys, we've got ourselves a PVZ, and this has been a bit of an awkward start. My hotkeys were a little bit wrong from the previous game. So we're a bit slow on the pylon, the gateway, the probes. Just means our opening is a bit less efficient, and that's probably good, because right until you get to a pretty high level, people are messing up their build every other game. Alright, there we go. I think what's the actual goal and how far do we have to go? It's pretty loose. It's pretty loose. Like I said, you know, I can make up arbitrary things and lie to you guys and be like, oh, if we hit this much, we can afford to do this, blah blah blah. But basically, if we fill that goal each week, then that's a simple gauge of I can do exactly the same format as I've done for the ones where I did a full bronze to GM, and if not, maybe not. That's about it. We'll see how we go on it. You know, I tend to deliver extra anyway, even when we don't hit things, but yeah, it's just like, eh.
Enemy assaulting.
All right, guys, let's go. That goes there. Pylon goes down. Okay, so this opening has been very messy. We've seen a hatchery, so let's just go home with our probe. We know there's an expansion, and let's just focus on the build. So it's a PvZ against a Platinum, I think it's a Platinum 1 Zerg. Let's see if we can beat them while keeping things really simple and slow and kind of gold level. Now we're going to go Stalker first and just rally that onto the Overlord for now, guys. Get the warp gate going. And notice he's trying to get to this pillar. That pillar can be spotted from the high ground on this map. Little detail my opponent probably doesn't know. So what we're going to do, if he gets on that pillar, we're going to put one on the high ground, and then the other one will just build here. We can chrono that in a moment. But for now, let's get the Robo started. Robo is a little bit late.
Nexus point under enemy attack.
Oh, there's some Zerglings coming in, guys. So we're going to have to go defend that first. All right. It's defended. Hold the probe key down, chrono your probes, and go back to macro. Hotkey the Robo, build another Stalker. I'll just kill this Zergling, and then we'll go there. Holy crap, Uzi, above and beyond, mate. Above and beyond. Okay, so notice this Stalker on the high ground can spot the Overlord, as I mentioned. Dude, thank you so much. What the hell, man? Thank you for your generosity. That is above and beyond. A massive 50 bucks from Uzi. Keeping the Bronze to GM alive. Let's get that Observer going, guys, and let's slow down a little bit. I've been talking to chat a little bit much. 10-second timeout from macro to simulate being a gold player. Thank you so much, Uzi. Really appreciate the love. Thank you, everyone, for slapping the bacon to say thank you as well. All right, 344, let's go. All right, guys, macro cycle, queue up a bunch of probes, chrono boost them. We've got 3 Stalkers. Let's make an Immortal here. Let's control group the Observer, scout the bases, and then pull back. All right, 12 guys on minerals. Let's take the double gas, and let's get a few more pylons. Okay. So looking good, guys. Remember, we're going to make Zealots next with our 3 gateway warp in to get up to 6 gateway units for safety. We've got an Immortal on the way. Now that we've taken the gases, we can go 50 to 55 supply. Second Robo plus Robo Bay. The earlier we do that, the better. Another round of probes. We want to put workers on gas, just like that. And then we want to warp in those Zealots. Make an Immortal. And that's going to be the end of our macro cycle, guys. So one more Immortal, which means pylons. Sorry, it's not the end of the macro cycle. It's the end of the unit production part of the macro cycle. Misspeaking here. So we're going to build a few pylons. Very nice. All right. So we've got our army. We've got our Observer. Let's take a look. Looks like my opponent has a 3rd base, a lair, a roach horn, a few gases. So it looks pretty chill. Oh, there's a Spore Crawler there. But they're droning up 3 bases, guys. So we're just going to set up this Overlord out here and just see what builds. Let's go home. Build a few more probes. Last couple probes. First.
Love this, Eros. A lot
Oh,
of
shit.
attention to helping our understanding of the game and patiently answering all our questions with meaningful answers and challenging our thought process. All the best, man. Hope you keep...
All the best, man. Hope you keep it up. Barb cutting that one off at the character limit. Thank you so much, the Bulgarian. The Bulgarian, let's be real, because you've got a giant bulge in your pants. Let's be real, guys. We all know how those Bulgarians are. They are, absolutely turgid all the time. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. All right, we don't need another Observer, guys. Let's just build an Immortal and another Immortal, and then we can start the Prism and the Immortal after that. Do this big, giant Robo time. It's going to be great. Keep chrono boosting that. We've got a few pylons building, so we should be good. We'll get +1 charge. And next up is going to be 5 gateways and the Templar Archives. Let's go, guys. Now, I've been a little bit fast on this, but notice I pulled the guy immediately. And it's going to take a lot of money before I can do this. Normally, I wouldn't be looking at that. I'd come back when I have the money. But I was just kind of glancing at Twitch chat there. So we're going 4, 5 gateways. And then what we do, Templar Archives goes down. And build a pylon. Really important to get a pylon, just to make sure we don't get supply blocked. So these 2 Immortals are popping out, guys. Let's build ourselves a Warp Prism. And what else are we going to build? Maybe one more immortal? I think would be decently fine. Yeah, we can build one last immortal. Why not? Okay, cool. So we see roaches building. Now, oh, those roaches have tunneling claws, guys. You see the spikes on their back? So we are actually going to cancel the immortal and make an observer. So I have one observer on his side, and then I'll have one observer at home. And what do we need? More pylons. So we're just going to build a lot of pylons here, make sure we don't get supply blocked, and it's move out time. So what we're going to do, we're going to move out. We're going to go get a bunch of zealots to warp in. Observer on the Colossus. Now, because I'm worried about him coming into my base once my observer leaves with those roaches, I'm going to wall my base completely. And uh-oh, we're going to lose our observer. That's fine. So we're going to A-move to our staging zone. Right-click the prism, shift siege. And we're just checking around my base. Charge is almost done. +1 will be done in 30 seconds. I can chrono it to make sure it's ready. We've got heaps more pylons than I would ever really need. We can make a few Archons. I think we'll wait just a second here, guys. I want to wait for 300 gas to make one more Archon, okay? There we go. Add to the control group, shift 2. All right, let's do it. And this is going to be, I'm going to set a camera location there for my warp in point, okay? All right, I'm a little bit worried about him flanking me. So we're going to move around this right side. And we're going to actually move the prism forward to here. Siege it. And set up that warp in camera location. All right, guys, let's go after these roaches here. Now notice I'm actually, oh, he's coming in from the right as well. So we're trying to do some stutter step. And he actually kills all my Colossus. Beautiful setup for him. Baited me in on that bottom side. But then he's focus fired a bit and he ignored the Zealot Archon. My opponent made the mistake of clicking their whole army on my units a little bit. I told you guys I wanted to do a bit more micro is one of the main differences here, because we're not really doing any macro once we start attacking. And that's why you can see me kind of, I was like, let's be decisive. Let's move in and force the fight. And you know what? I got punished for it. I took a lot of damage for it. I lost to Colossus, but it also made my opponent panic, and then he made a bunch of mistakes. So being crazy aggressive, it has its downsides. It also has its upsides. Just keep that in mind. The Zealots and the Archons are there. These guys are killing these Hydras as they pop out. And that looks like we are good. Just keep warping in Zealots because they're the quickest and easiest to control click, add to the hotkey, and rally in. Whereas if you make Archons, it's just a little bit more arduous, right? Because you've got to morph the Archons. So you warp in the High Templar, morph the Archons, and then send them forwards. Most players screw that up, and I end up seeing players do this. So they're like, oh, and then they're like, okay. And then they go back to microing, and then you look back over, and the High Templar aren't even morphed into Archons, and they're just fighting and dying. It's way better this way. Why are warp-ins super slow sometimes? Someone was asking me this earlier, so check this out. Look at that pylon field. Notice how the pylons on the right, nice and bright. Pylon on the left, washed out and shit. Why? Because it's not near a gateway or a nexus. So notice, crap pylon, good pylon, crap pylon, good pylon. And the reason is distance from the nexus. That's good pylon, crap pylon. Good pylon, crap pylon. So if you're close enough to a gateway or a nexus, it becomes a good pylon. So it's either 11-second warp in over here or 4-second warp in. It still says 11 seconds, but you could see it's way faster. So just to show that again, crap warp in, good warp in.
Mineral field exhausted.
Okay. Yeah. So for those who don't know, you used to be able to build a pylon here, and then using the low ground pylon field, you could warp in on the high ground in 4 seconds. So it used to be people would you'd just run up, you'd build a pylon here, and you'd warp Dark Templar into their main base. So Wings of Liberty was a disgusting game. Because basically, you could hide a single pylon in a corner of the map, this tiny little building, and warp in this giant army after 18 seconds of building a pylon. Like if you go back and look at Heart of the Swarm games, Zerg players would do this every game. With 3 Zerglings or 4 Zerglings, they would check every single corner. They go back and look at old Jadong VODs, and every game he has to do this around the entire map with multiple units to check every corner. Because if you don't catch that pylon, you would just get surprised by the most silly random attacks, and you'd be like, "What the hell?" Because there was one probe hiding in a corner of the map from 3 minutes in, And then he comes in and builds the pylon, and you're like, mother trucker. So they definitely, yeah, it's not as powerful as it once was. Anyways, let's go back. So I want to point out the miss micro I did, getting a bit excited, and how I messed up with my camera during that fight. So let's go back. This was a pretty quick timing, by the way, guys. You guys can see I'm hitting a little bit faster. I was worried about getting flanked, which is why I moved to this side, and then I actually moved into the flank. If I stayed here in a clump, I would have been good. But I was like, oh, he's pulling so far back. That's probably his whole army. Whatever, let's just... So I just literally clicked my whole army on these roaches. And that's obviously a bad idea. I could have sent a zealot out to the left. I could have sent my observer forward to the left. You know, if I moved the observer forward and had vision to here, I could have seen this army. And the moment I see these roaches, I should be pulling back into a big clump. And I react pretty quickly. But I still lose a Colossus. And almost lose a lot more. So let's just look at this one more time. Watch from my camera. This is actual game speed. So what's wrong? My camera. Look at where my camera is centered. I don't notice these roaches straight away because my camera's down here. It's not until those roaches move onto my screen. So that's very risky. Now, luckily for me, he makes a big mistake and he F2s his whole army here. Number one, my army's just bigger and better and it absolutely rinses this sort of army. I've got 4 Immortals, a bunch of Archon Zealot. Just so good versus roaches. But these roaches on the bottom also get clicked up here on the Colossus and then on like an Immortal or something, and you'll see most of these roaches are kind of running around and not attacking. The problem with attacking into a Zealot Archon army is Zealot Archon's really good if you run towards it. Roaches want to stutter step away from Zealot Archon. The problem is they kind of want to jump on top the Colossus and the Immortals and catch them out and kill them quickly. But you can't do that if there's Zealot Archon there, because that means you're running in a clump into Zealot Archon fire. And that's where Archons do maximum splash damage, Colossus do maximum splash, and the Zealots, which are normally struggling to actually hit the enemy units because they're shooting and moving, are actually able to land a lot of hits. And it works out really well. Pretty good play by Bugs Bunny, I gotta say, guys. And had a Hive and a Lurker Den on the way. So pretty good play in terms of good flanking, great macro, 62 workers. I think it was at 64 or 65. What's the big mistake Bugs Bunny's played, guys? It is Bugs Bunny didn't react to the fact that I'm on 2 base. If your opponent is on 2 bases and not making a third, if you're not sure what's happening, what you would normally do is you would literally just mass roaches off maybe 60 drones. No Hydratech, no infestation, don't need a 4th base, or at least you can take a 4th as a macro hatchery, but you don't need to drone it. But you can see there's a lot of money going into double upgrades and infestation and Hive and Hydra Den, and it's basically building, so my opponent's building too many advantages. A 20 worker advantage, an upgrade advantage, and also making 2 bases extra than me and extra tech. So it's too many things at once. You can get ahead 20 workers and then make a pretty simple army and overwhelm and swarm me, right? That's absolutely possible. But you can't make 20 workers more than me and double upgrades and a Lurker Den and an infestation and a Hive and Hydra upgrades and still have a big enough army to defend. It's too many things that are investing in, hey, I'm going to be really strong 3 or 4 minutes from now. Just give me a few minutes. Whereas I, on the other hand, I'm going to kill you right now. I'm completely all in. So on a fundamental level, Bugs Bunny is doing a lot of things well. If I were taking a 3rd and a 4th base, this would be great. But I'm not. I'm doing a 2 base all in, so Bugs Bunny's doing a bit too much. Also, way too many Overlords, right? I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but going 4 more Overlords when we're already at 140 out of 184, probably could have skipped building any more Overlords for this game, or at most just 1 or 2 more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Zealots, Zerglings, Marines. Well, let's be real, it's Protoss players mostly watching this show. We are going to be doing a PVT. Let's get our camera location set up. 3rd base, 4th base, 5th base. Let's go back to the wall in, make sure we have another probe. Gateway. Go across the map, control group the probe, control group the gateway, chrono boost the probes, build the gas, queue back to minerals. And we want to queue up more probes, and then we want to select our probe off our hotkey, our scouting probe. We want to go scout around the main, and then sit behind the natural. Now our main's on 16 on minerals, 3 on each gas. My OCD is telling me to fix up the mining. We've got 3 on this patch, and the other workers are derping around, but we're not going to because that's not what we normally do. All right, guys. We're going to have our worker scout out soon. Or builder, sorry.
Enemy
Rally there.
assaulting probes.
Number 3. Number 2. Number 3. Number 2. Number 3. Number 2. Number 3. Oi! Okay. Got the Nexus down. I tried to attack the SCV, because if he started blocking me, I would have had to attack him. All right, looks like we're getting attacked, guys. So we're just going to go do a little circle and then come home. Back at home, we're going to build the cyber core. Now, you don't really need a proper wall off first Terran, so we're actually going to leave our wall off a bit more open this time, okay? We're going to start adapting our wall offs depending on who we're playing a little bit.
Under attack.
Let's go for the gas. We're going to click it back to that one because that one doesn't have a buddy on it. This worker, I both clicked on the gas and then I said return resources. And there we go. Now, the reason I'd already clicked this guy home, guys, is because I saw an SCV trying to build a command center. I figured that was going to go down. But now I look at the minimap and I go, yep, check. That did actually happen. I was correct. We don't need to worry about anything. We can just go back to mining and continue our build. Now, let's check our camera locations are working. My main wasn't done. Now it is. Let's get the Stalker and the Warp Gate. And wow, that's here pretty early, guys. Me being a bit slower on the opening on purpose, this game is going to cost me. Let's try and build the Robo. Now, you can always grab a few probes and try to attack a Reaper if it comes in, guys. When it runs away or tries to kite you, you want to pull off. Okay, so now we can rally to the natural. Hold down the probe key. Double chrono. And let's build another Stalker. Now, remember, he could jump back up the ledge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put... Is there a ledge on here? I don't think there's a ledge on here. So we're going to have a Stalker at the front and then this one on the ledge. We're going to make sure our hotkeys are good. We're just queuing up lots and lots of probes right now because we got a little distracted by the enemy Reaper harass. And I think we're looking okay. So next up is building a few gateways, guys. Oh, got to build the pylon. Don't you dare only build those and then build nothing else. That would be bad. And then we go back to probes, right? Because we've got 2 Stalkers now, 1 out front, 1 there, both on the same hotkey. We're going to build probes. We build 4 probes. We chrono them. We're then going to build an observer, which will rally to the front. 3rd Stalker's now on the way. A little slow to start that, but that's okay. You'll see it'll finish just a little bit after the Warp Gate research finishes. But as long as it turns into a Warp Gate in time with these other 2 gateways, that's still going to be nicely synced up. And we're building a few more probes. Now notice we're almost at 12 workers on minerals. So we're remembering to get this gas earlier. One of the big advantages compared to last week.
Technology research.
Now let's send that observer across. We're going to scout the full base and then sit outside. We'll chrono boost an immortal. Build a few more probes. So that's kind of a macro cycle in reverse there. We did the robo first because we just realized the observer came out. Then we did probes and then we did pylons. I wouldn't advise doing this too much because you kind of want it to be like muscle memory. Probes, chrono, probes, army, pylons. Probes, army, pylon. Every 30 seconds or every 25 seconds. Try to stick to that macro cycle. For all the players who aren't super fast players, it's really important. But even the fast players, I think, often underestimate how important this is. And I end up coaching these guys who have 300 APM. And they're really struggling with the basics. And I almost always end up bringing it back. And this is with Diamond players as well. They go, yeah, what's your Bronze to GM for ZERG, TERRAN, Protoss? Oh, I do this, I do this. Yeah, no, I do all the things. But I look at it and I go, you don't actually follow the macro cycle. Did he just spot an observer? What kind of a tryhard spots an observer, mate? What, are we playing Beyond right now? Savage. That was sick. My second Robo Bay is a little late, but I've got a bit more gas this game, so it should still be fine. We did warp in those extra 3 Zealots, by the way. And don't worry, guys, we immediately just queue up. I'm gonna make 2 observers. In case he kills another one, I will make 2 observers. And they build really fast, so that's gonna be fine. And now we can queue up the 2 Colossi. Oh, actually, we go Colossus, extra observer there. Now let's get the Viagra started. Oh, Widow Mines, guys. What do we do when we see a Widow Mine drop? We pull away. And then we A-move our army up here. And we're going to A-move to defend. Oh, wait, he's going to our other base. Okay. Uh-oh, we're going to have to do the same thing there. So let's warp in a few more Stalkers, guys. Warp them in over here, because these are fast warp-in pylons. And just run away. Now, you got to do that earlier. I almost did that too late. And what you want to do is you want to send a single probe back. And then you can just click back on mining, okay? Stalkers, add to the army key. Jump to the main. Control click. 1, 2. You can click on this gas. Deselect 3, because no one's on that. And then click on the minerals. So I didn't really take any damage there. We're all good. Whew, but let's get back to the build, guys. Probes, don't need it. Army, queue up 2 immortals. Pylons. So macro cycles first thing after dealing with the pressure. You can see I'm supply blocked right now, guys, which does hurt. And remember what we talked about earlier. If I just had my units kind of split between my mineral lines initially, that drop wouldn't have done anything, right? So definitely something to pay attention to. Now let's dump the observers on 0, send them across the map. Let's get that Twilight and Forge, which I've already delayed massively in this game. So that's really going to slow down my push. But that's okay. We'll already queue up a Warp Prism and 1 last Immortal. These will be our last 2 units, and we'll push out with those. We can start getting an extra pylon, and then we can go for lots of gateways. Now notice we've got the observers on that dumping key, right? So they're just going forward. One's going to sit right in the middle of the map. I'll just tell it to siege up, and the other one's going to go forward and try to have a proper look around and really see the context. I don't know what we just saw. It looks like a single Marine, interestingly. Let's make some gateways. We'll make 5 gates. We get +1 and charge. +1 takes longer, so it's always the priority, guys. Unless you're actually getting attacked and you need charge straight away. We're going to build a Templar Archives after +1 and charge.
Protoss forces now in combat.
I just scanned it again. I didn't see a 3rd base. So no 3rd base. Lots of bio. It looks like my opponent's doing a 2-base build. If I don't see a 3rd command center, we can send the observer forward and just siege it out front to check what's going on. We probably don't need to worry too much, right? We're probably like, oh, you're actually just trying to get some stuff in. Now, let's grab my whole army here, guys. Put the observer on, Warp Prism on the observer key. A-move my army to the front. And we're going to move forward. So we're going to move... Oh, is he already out on the map? Guys, the fact that there's a few units moving out tells me they're joining units that are already on the map. So what we're going to do is we're going to chill, because we don't want to get caught spread out in the middle of the map. We're going to make a bunch of Archons, a bunch of Zealots. And we're going to keep chrono boosting these to try to get them. Make last couple pylons. And now we're going to try and move out. And oh, he's right there. Okay, so this is lucky. We will attack that. We don't want to give him time to siege up. And if you want, you can click the Immortals on the tanks. Or, in this case, once the tanks are gone, click them on the Marauders. Other than that, just a move is perfectly fine. Okay, guys? Lots of Zealots coming in. Add them to the hotkey. A move to the 3rd. And our Warp Prism is going to join in, move across the map, and siege up to Warp in. I'm already setting my camera location in this spot. So I go main, natural 3rd, 4th, 5th, Warp in point. Because my Warp Prism is already queued up to go there. Alright, guys. We're just going to group up this army. Oh, he's not home yet. Let's catch him before he gets home. Oh, look at that. So we're going to catch him before he gets home. And then I can jump to my Warp in camera location. Warp in Zealots, control click, shift 2. And then once they're finished warping in about now, we can attack move. Now in this scenario, control click the Immortals. Let's try and move them forward to click on that tank, okay? Nice. We can just go back to A moving, or we can control click the Colossus. We can start clicking on SCVs. So what would we do, guys? We might click in the middle of the SCVs. See how much splash damage they do? So you click in the middle of clumped light units, SCVs or Marines, and they do crazy damage. Whereas if they're just shooting a single Marauder, look at that. Pretty crap, right? But if you click the Marines, they can like literally one-shot groups of Marines. And if they're really clumped up, it's even better. Nice. GG's, guys. So against Terran players, if you guys hit the point in the ladder where people start Liberator harassing, Widowmine harassing, all that sort of stuff, well, we always have observers that should see a frontal push. So we should have plenty of time to move out and intercept a frontal push. But by default, I think we're at the point where in PvT, we can start splitting these units. We could have just, you know, 2 Stalkers and 2 Zealots in the natural, a Stalker, Zealot, Immortal in the main, something like that, or vice versa, would be perfectly fine. Pig, why were you not worried about his 2-base attack, but you were for 3-base? It's not that I'm worried about a 3-base attack. It's if he's on 3 bases, I would want to move out and go kill him straight away, because I don't want to give him time for his economy to pay off and him to build a bigger army than me. If he's going for a 3rd base, a lot of upgrades, a lot of infrastructure, that means his army is small right in that moment. So I want to go and kill him soon. However, if in the other hand he's only on 2 base, there's not so much urgency. We're both on 2 base, so we're both playing big 2 base timing attacks, big all-ins essentially. Pulled those probes very late. That was very dangerous. So if we are both playing a 2 base all-in, it's whoever takes the better fight wins. So it's not about, oh, I need to go kill him before his big economy lead pays off. And you can see that in this game. Because it took me a while to get that new observer across the map because I was busy defending there. We were playing nice and slow. But I was like, man, if he's on 3 bases, I got to go punish this soon. I can't give him too much time to build a big army, right? I got to go, 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 go. But then I'm like, oh, wait, there's no 3rd command center. And he's just got a lot of production and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, it is what it is. I can be chill. I still want to go push him soon, but I can wait until charge and +1 is closer to be finished, make a few Archons, and just make sure I actually know where his army is. Because I didn't notice at this point, guys, that he went right past, right? I didn't see that. But what was the big tell? And you're going to see me see it in a moment. Why would these units be moving out? It's because he's rallying to his army in the front. These are the units that were kind of either trailing or just popping out of his production, right? He's kind of F2'd or grabbed new units. But why would they move out on their own? There's no reason. So if a few units, you see them moving out, it usually means their army is already out on the map. And for me, I was like, I have no idea where that army is. I'm just going to try and group up my Zealot Archon, keep my eyes kind of on my army, try to see if he roams in here. Are you able to take on a ZERG Elite AI with TERRAN? I'm sure my Bronze to GM build would easily beat it. If you just watch my Bronze to GM ZERG, you can just apply that and you'll beat it super easily. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. But I don't really want to teach people how to beat AIs because I know a lot of people want to start with AI and stuff, but it's not, I think, got a broad enough appeal for people wanting to learn from that. The cheater AIs can be a little difficult because they actually get more money and stuff, but that's obviously not for me. You know, I've been playing the game for 13 years, used to be a pro player. Obviously, it's not going to cause me any issues, but I don't know. I'm sure if you don't know how to take advantage of the AI, you don't understand how it operates. Even if you're like a platinum player, you could probably drop a game to it. Cool. So very decisive push there, guys. I mean, this army destroys. It is such a powerful army. It's so sick. GG's. Ooh, okay, guys, we're getting into a PvZ here, and I'm going to purposely miss macro at some point in this game so I can show you guys how to batch up your macro to recover, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a 2 depth pressure, which I'm going to micro horrendously, and we're going to use that to kind of show you guys some recovery techniques for your macro and how to kind of explode into your macro to make up for early mistakes and stuff like that, okay? Bad luck, no fun. I love it. Mr. Big, what a legend. So there was a question, when do you interrupt the macro cycle? Well, if there's super high urgency, right? So if I see a Liberator fly into my mineral line, we're allowed to interrupt the macro cycle. I get to pull those probes away, do the response, and then return to the macro cycle. But if we see like an army move out, finish the macro cycle. You've got 20, 30 seconds till it gets to your side of the map. You're fine. You don't need to deal with it just yet, right? So, oh, there's an army stimming in on top of my army right now. Okay, we can interrupt our macro cycle to go monitor our army. But you guys got to be careful with it because players go, oh, okay, so it is okay to interrupt the macro cycle. And then I see them just being like, I saw something on the mini-map! And they just go and stare at it, and I'm like, okay, well, this is really hurting you now, right? So you've got to just be careful about not getting too excited and starting to always look away and that sort of thing. So guys, we want to overlap and then leave that single space. Go back to the gas, build another probe. Now, our probe's getting killed. We see a hatchery first, so we can just go home, okay? Let's take the second gas. Notice I clicked the probe back to the mineral patch that it left off. The other probe still derps out like a dummy, so it's not that effective, but better than nothing. Build a pylon here, and we want to rally our probes onto that gas. And keep building probes non-stop from there, okay? Terran and Protoss, your macro cycle should be about every 24 seconds. That's how long it takes to build 2 workers. For ZERG, it's every 29 seconds. That's how long an inject lasts. I feel like StarCraft's the best game for brain exercise. Should be a part of the school curriculum. I think it's pretty good. It's difficult though, it's very challenging.
I am here in the shadows.
Alright guys, we're gonna build another Stalker. Chrono some probes. And notice we can already hold position that Stalker, and then when we wall off with 2 extra gateways, we'll already be solid in our wall. So great preparation in case there was like a Ling flood or something. Robo rallies down here, building probes. Oh, I said I was going to do an adept pressure, didn't I? Okay, we're going to do a 2 Stalker pressure this time, actually. Alright, let's go do a 2 Stalker pressure, okay, guys? Now, this is not a good idea, but I'm just giving you an example of something that might distract us and allow us to miss macro, okay? So we're going to run across this map now, and we're going to stare at our units. I see a lot of players all the way through to Diamond fall into making mistakes where they just stare at random units for way too long. Like right now, staring at units as they go across the map, this is a travesty. Like, what are we doing right now? I'm holding down on the portrait. That's why it's following them, in case you guys are wondering. Like, yeah, let's kill an Overlord. Let's go. So like I said, I was purposely going to miss macro this game, and the reason is I want to show you guys how to batch up your macro to catch up after making a terrible decision like what I'm doing right now, okay? So we're going to try and kill this queen. We're going to do a pointless micro. It's my simulation of a gold player trying to micro, guys. Do you like it? Shit. Oh shit, I didn't macro for the last 2 minutes. Oh god, what do I do? Panic! Panic! No, batch up your actions. First things first, macro cycle. We floated a lot of money, so what are we going to do? Maximum probe production, chrono. Warp in a Stalker, make an Observer and an Immortal, chrono. Pylons, pylon. Back to mining. Now we need to do the next parts of the build. What's next in the build, guys? Well, we never built our 2nd and 3rd gateway. So we're going to do that, and the pylon, and the 2 gases, and the 2nd robo and the robo bay, all in one go. So what am I doing? I'm taking 3, 4, 5 steps of the build, and I'm doing them all at once. I did 2 macro cycles in a row, basically together, by queuing up multiple probes, multiple units, and then I just did bam, 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 bam. And look how much money I spent. Now, is that all the money? No, we've still got tons. That's okay. We'll put guys on gas. Is this enough probes to take us to 45? It is. Cool. We'll warp in another Stalker. We'll chrono in another Immortal. Time to do the next part of the build. We've still got money. Jump ahead. Twilight Forge. Let's put them here so we can easily chrono them. Into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gateways. Into some more pylons. And check it out, guys. I just spent my money. This was a horrendous early game. Missing that much macro that early is appallingly bad. But what did I do? I queued up maximum probes because I knew I would have to spend so much attention on everything. So I knew that we were going to have a lot of trouble here. So I've kind of said, well, let's queue extra pylons, extra probes, do a full macro cycle, but with extra pylons, extra units, all that stuff. Start the Viagra there. And then only after that do I then go, okay, let's do 3, 4 steps of the build at once. Until my bank is cleared, I can just basically squish all that build into one little tight sequence. And don't get me wrong, you're not going to do it as fast as I did, but as you get practice at it, and if you have a few games where you mess up and you learn to, okay, what's next in the build? If you know your build order really well in terms of the list, and that's why it's important to write it down yourself and copy that write-up that I've got in my document, guys, because I can go to that build order and I know this build order inside and out. I know this list. I know what comes next. I did that. I did that. I did that. I did this. We've done the whole, that's exactly what we're doing right now. Okay? All right, more Immortals. And we've also got the Templar Archives coming in, the last bit of the build that we're missing. We're going to be making Zealots right now. We don't have the gas for Archons. And we're going to move for a Warp Prism. After that, Immortal. And then maybe what? Should we get an Observer? I'm not sure. Let's just go one more Immortal. So chrono. Okay, guys, so let's take a look around. My opponent has a 3rd base, but there is no drones on it. Do they have a 4th as well? Is this maybe a 4th base? That's a pretty low economy for 7 minutes. There are roaches out, so they've got some roaches patrolling. Oh, lots of roaches. Oh, yeah, that is a 4th base. They have a third full of workers, guys. Now, that mineral line's not completely full. You can see only one worker here, but it's pretty close. So my opponent's on about 60 workers, which means I need to get a move on. We've got to get our units across this map. More zealots warping in. Let's grab my whole army. Let's move out. We see... Oh, he's got tunneling claws as well, guys. So let's make sure that I build an observer here in case I need it. Now, the observer's going to get hotkeyed. We're going to move out. As this immortal comes out, guys, we are basically going to just move across this map
New technology
to the middle, move our prism, siege it up. Immortal adds to the army. We build a pylon to wall ourselves in. And we're just going to rally the observer to this immortal, okay?
Army upgraded.
Now we're going to go for Archons. We've got enough for 2 Archons. The rest will be Zealots. I can't wait much longer because his army is going to be growing much quicker than mine. I'm on 44 workers. He's on 60, 65. That's kind of funny that he's up there. I've got better range damage than he does, so I'll take that fight any day. Let's move the prism forward to here. And let's do it. Alright guys, we're going to try to move forward and go for a big fight. Apparently the warp prism didn't siege up, so we're going to warp in more zealots. Now, if you want, you can control click the Colossus. Click them on the Hydras. Hydras are light units. You don't want them shooting roaches, guys. You always want your Colossus hitting Zerglings or Hydras. And Mortals hitting roaches. Alright. Alright. So this is another game where the opponent took a 4th base, tried to make Hydras and all this extra stuff like tunneling claws as well. GG, well played. Whereas if they focused just on mass roach off about 60 workers, single evo chamber, then they could have had a more adequate response. But if we see 64 drones versus 44, it's a 20 worker lead. And they went tunneling claws, which was unnecessary. And they had double evo chamber, but no actual upgrades for their roach hydra yet. So we were able to basically win off of that. And we probably can see that macro was the big thing. I mean, this is huge miss macro. This is horrendous. But the reason I really wanted to do this exercise, guys, this is right after my Stalkers died, is because the number of players I see who obsess over, you're floating money, oh, you can't float money. You're absolutely correct. If there's nothing going on, no distractions, you shouldn't be floating money. Guess what? You're playing a competitive video game where the opponent's entire goal is to throw you off your game and harass you and distract you and throw you off. You're gonna inevitably run into situations where you tunnel vision and you float a few thousand resources and you mess up your build. A skill that will always scale through all experiences in StarCraft and all skill levels is your ability to bounce home and batch up your macro to make up for it. So I wrote this down in the notes. There's the build order, but I actually talked about how I really wanted to work on this. How do you catch up when your macro falls behind? Most importantly, you need to spend your money by batching up your actions to get extra things done all at once. Extra probes queued up, right? That's what I did. I went 5 probes on each nexus. Extra pylons. Multiple steps of the build all at once. So what did I do? I did extra pylons. I did extra units queued up, right? I didn't just queue up an observer. I also queued up an immortal straight away. Because I knew I was going to spend so much extra time on these in-between steps. I can't just build 2 probes. If I only built 2 probes on the nexus, by the time I've built the gases, the 2nd and 3rd gateways, the extra pylon, the 2nd robo, the robo bay, my nexus will be sitting idle for a good 30 seconds. And I'll have missed a bunch of probes. You've got all this money, queue up as many probes as you can, and absolutely do it. You don't want to be a 2-probe man when you've got your hands full. Queuing 2 probes at a time is really nice when you don't have anything sucking up your attention. It's early game. You've got very little to do, so you can be a bit more optimal and use that little bit of extra minerals you save by not queuing up the workers to get your robos a bit faster, get your gateways a little bit faster. But when you're in a situation where money is no issue, queuing up a few less workers doesn't help you in any way, does it? So this actually is way, 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 way better doing it this way. And we still ended up getting a very decisive victory despite a massive mistake that we made. So this is a really important skill. And I just want you guys to really think about that whole sequence, rewatch that part of the video of when I bounced home and what I focused on, and try to emulate that in your own games. Even hop into a scenario like this, go AFK for a minute or 2, and then just jump back in and try to resume the build and go bam, bam, do the, you know, hit a macro cycle, hit the build, jump, put multiple steps together. And you can see, guys, my 2nd and 3rd gateways finishing, and my 2nd robo and robo bay, and my Twilight and Forge is half done, and these games. These things normally all happen minutes apart. They're happening all at once. But because I did that, I spent all my money, got on top of it and really was able to just barrel through. So this is actually massive. Okie dokie, everybody. We've got ourselves a PvP. I thought Army of Snakes was a TERRAN or a ZERG, but apparently they're playing Protoss. Fair enough, guys. Was it 2700 Protoss? I think it was. I'm trying to remember. I think they're Diamond 3 or Diamond 2 with like one of their main race, but sweet. Good luck, have fun. All right, guys. So continuing here, we're just going to be finishing off Gold League, either this game or maybe the next one. We'll see how we go. I do wonder what else should we do here? What else should we do? Oh, wait, we forgot to scout. Sorry, guys. Okay. 9-10 games in, I always get a bit distracted and start just like reading chat and doing normal streaming rather than Bronze to GM streaming. I will stay focused. All right, so we're doing the low ground gate. We're doing the Nexus in a moment. We want to rally this probe back to the gas after he pops. Put on the control groups. We've got number 2, number 3. Beautiful. Number 2. Build Nexus. Add to hotkey. Center camera location. Set the rally point. Want to get the cyber core down. Leave. We go back on gas. Build a probe. We can go for the second gas. Now you notice I queued that probe. You can try to stack them to make sure they go to the right patch. You really don't need to do that. It's just a habit I have, but it's not high priority, guys. Just trying to make sure the workers are all doubled up. Something we'll focus on in Diamond League. Say, because you only want 2 workers on each patch so that they don't interrupt each other. Not important for Gold League, but just something to mention. And we'll prime you to keep your eyes on that for the future, because every now and then I do fall into my habits. So we're just going to do 1 chrono on the gateway, guys. That is probably a bit more optimal. And we will get the robo soon as well. Now remember, it's a PvP. They've gone 2 gates. Yeah. So it's especially important in this matchup to make sure you chrono boost a second Stalker immediately.
At dark matter _ synthesis on ladder.
Oh, dude! Thank you so much for the support, guys. So second chrono there. We can rally to our natural now. Sorry, I'm playing a bit fast. So as long as we have the Stalkers, and notice I'm rallying to the Stalker. So if Adepts come in, we're on the ramp, and we can quickly run into our ramp, our main. We can also queue up a 3rd Stalker, and that should keep us pretty safe. If an Oracle flies in or something, it is what it is. But for now, we're just doing our standard build. Only difference is we chronoed a second Stalker, and we queued that up before starting the Robo, okay? Building a few more probes. Now it's time for the 2nd and 3rd gateway. About 35 supply. We're actually on 38 this game because of those chronos. Now we're going to build 2 gateways into a pylon. Okay, guys. Queue up more probes. Looking great here. Probe. We can build an observer straight away. And guess what? It's 3:30. And oh god, there's no expansion. So we can send the probe in to try and scout. And we basically want to build some shield batteries, guys. Because what do? Probing is not the priority. Okay? We can still build a couple more probes, but it's more important to build Immortal. So we're going to chrono an Immortal. We're going to make 3 units. The moment that's done, we're making a shield battery. And because it's PvP, should be Oracles in the main. So we'll build a shield battery in the main as well, okay? So let's make another pylon there. Make a pylon there. And I'd love to build probes, right? We're not finished saturating, but we've got 3 gateways coming in, guys. So that's got to be the priority. So we're just going to check around our base before going into my opponent's side. And the reason we're doing that, guys, is my probe actually just scouted everything. Is that a Dark Shrine? That's a weird shaped building. That looks like it might be a Dark Shrine, guys. So I'm going to put my Stalkers in the wall because I don't have it. I don't know what's going on in this game. We're going to try and look around and send the Observer across the map. And oh, here we go, guys. So we want to pull back inside our ramp. It looks like it's, just something normal. We're going to build some Zealots and we're going to use Battery Overcharge. Now, if you need to, if you're under an all-in like this, pull probes. As long as you don't die, you'll be fine, okay? Oh, he's actually focusing down my my pylons. Oh, very smart play. Now, in this scenario, you got to move through the wall in. Otherwise, your units are stuck. Now that they're free of the wall in, now I can attack move. And behind it, I have to repower the pylons, okay? If we have enough units, let's box these guys, put them all on 1 key, and notice we're moving. And we go for the surround. Ooh, that was a really good attack from Army of Snakes, guys, but our standard response kept us very safe. What is the standard response? Focus down these. Let's grab the pylons now. I'm going to dump the probe, sorry, onto the dumping key to take them off my army. And we can now basically hold down the probe key, chrono, make it an immortal. Do I still have an observer, guys? It was just a pylon building, by the way. It was not a dark shrine. Just the moment I scouted it, it was a bit of a weird shape, so I freaked out. Okay, we want to go zealots. I never got the second robo in the robo bay, guys. And that's totally fine. Let's get the 2 gases. So what are we doing? We're returning to my normal build. It's a few more probes, last 2 probes. Guys on gas. We're going second robo bay. And then we're going to go Twilight Forge. Get another pylon. Super chill. And there should be no way to lose from here. So, just to remind you guys, what was the response that we went for? Let's put guys on gas first. Standard 1-base reaction. If they don't have an expansion, keep warping in units immortals, drop a shield battery or 2 on your natural, and build extra pylons. Scout with observer, and react accordingly. That's what kept us safe. We dropped battery overcharge when the attack came in, pulled behind our wall in, and even though my opponent did a good job of running in, and I could have like warped in a sentry as one of the high level reactions, which I kind of fought. I fought back the urge to do, because I was like, oh, this is kind of high level. I'll just keep it easy and kind of let them into my base a little bit. But just doing battery overcharge plus pulling workers, because I knew my opponent was doing a 1-base all in. So if I lost every probe on my natural, I knew I'd still be on even economy. So I'd be completely fine. All right, guys, so we go 5 gates. Next up is Templar Archives. And then we want to get the Viagra as well, right? So we'll get Viagra started. And you can see he's got an expansion now and a few Stalkers, but there's no way he can defend this attack. So we're going to speed up the attack a bit compared to normal. Oh, we're a little low on probes. Let's build 2 more probes. We'll build a Warp Prism. And that should cut it. I don't think we need anything else. Just a Warp Prism. And we can just build a few more pylons. Wall off our base in case DTs or Adepts try to get in. As soon as that Warp Prism's almost out, we can move across the map. So we're going to move across the map already to our staging point. Chrono boosting +1. Warping in more Zealots outside the wall in. Since I'm walled in, guys, we don't want to warp in inside. Add them to the hotkey with Shift 2. Put that on number 3. Warp in some Archons on the front, and then we'll go. I'll break these rocks as well, just to make it a little bit easier. So these guys, I've told them to break the rocks. And time for some Archons.
Mineral field exhausted. Research complete.
Archons morph, let's do it. We're going to move the prism forward up to here. Let's move our army up. Now that the Archons are done morphing, we're going to attack, and then we'll warp in a few more Zealots. Now if we want, guys, we want to kill the battery first. So click the Immortals, and move forward, and then attack the shield battery. And then move forward and attack Stalkers and Immortals. So notice my Immortals, I'm moving them in and attacking his Immortals. And look how much damage they do. Whereas if they were attacking probes and zealots, that wouldn't have worked out there. So this is the sort of forward stutter step and focus fire we're trying to do a little bit more of. Just introduce ourselves to. At the end of the day, if you just A move, you will win most of these fights to a pretty high level. But that's huge. I love Army of Snakes for doing this. I think it's really important we see some more 1-base build orders. But just remember, guys, at 3 minutes 30, we look at our probe. We go, oh, there's no Nexus. And what do? We start prioritizing army production over probe production, and we build a shield battery. Now, because it's PvP, I thought there might be oracles going into my main. Figured I'd build a shield battery in the main as well. It's a PvP special. You're going to see me put that down in a moment. Just chrono boosting.
Research
there we go.
Completed.
And then obviously army pylons, and then squeeze probes in between if you have spare cash. Hey, Avid Psycho, welcome back, mate. Now, because my probe also went in for a scout, I could have left it behind the base. We saw nothing in the base, which means we're being proxied, which is why I sent my observer to kind of look around my base, see if there's any incoming army, and just kind of have a scout around before going across the map. And behind it, we're making more immortals. We should just keep chronoing those. Actually, it's good that I didn't chrono this immortal. Do you guys know why? Why should you not chrono this immortal? What is more important than chronoing the immortal?
Enemy attack.
Pop quiz. Pop quiz from Twitch chat. What's more important than chrono boosting an immortal? Chronoing probes? Only if we were focused on building economy right now. But yeah. You guys, you got it. Yeah, the battery overcharge. Because if I use that chrono, I gotta wait another 10, 30, maybe 13 seconds until I get energy for a battery overcharge. So if I don't have battery overcharge, this fight actually would be kind of scary. Kind of crazy move in to try and focus down the battery, but I love the decisiveness from Army of Snakes. And it was very important here that I just move command my army past to get everything out of that wall in. Now, something I could have done there to be really high level. If you guys are wondering, is that the perfect micro? No. So what I would do if I was playing unrestricted, I would A move right now, and then I would, so I've got these guys selected, I'd A move, so these guys just start fighting, and then I would box these guys. And I'd start moving them through the wall. And then as half of them get through the wall, I'll show you guys, so about, see it start moving. At this point, I would A move them again. And then I would box these units and keep spam clicking them through the wall. So the units out front will keep fighting, whereas the way I did it was much simpler, but it meant these guys weren't even fighting. All the guys at the front were just running alongside his units like doop-de-doop. So you could do kind of like A move, box the units at the back, keep clicking them through, A move again, box the units at the back, keep clicking them through, A move, box the units at the back, click them through, if that makes sense. And then up here, we moved right on top just to get full surface area so my units weren't stuck behind each other. Remember, I move forward decisively when I have a bigger army, a better army, I move forward. If I'm defending, I have a smaller army, I tend to move back. Move, shoot, pull back, shoot, pull back, shoot, pull back, shoot. All right, gang, last game for today. We've got a very excited 2400, 2350 Protoss player here for our last Gold League episode. So I think this might be a good chance for us to once again do the, what do you guys think about doing the macro screw up? I think it'd be a good idea. I really want to hit that point home for you guys. So send a probe down there and let's get it going. Main base camera location, natural camera location is there. Let's get the pylon. Let's set up. So we're going to keep queuing up probes. We go third base, fourth base, fifth base, warp in location. All right, looking good. So remember, we always want to queue up to 16 workers, and we want to build the gateway and then chrono that. So we're going to go, this probe is already hotkeyed. We're doing that ahead of time now. And we want to queue that around the base behind the natural. Control group our gateway. Jump to the main and chrono boost. Build a gas. Rally back to minerals. Queue up more probes. Thank you so much for the sub, R-Dubs, for the 7 months. Thank you, everybody, for helping us fill that tip goal today as well. Really appreciate the support. You've all been very generous. Oi, don't attack me, you dickhead. Now notice we've queued up to 20 supply. So we've got 1 on gas, rally to the natural. Let's see if there's a low ground gateway or not. There is, no worries. Looks like a pretty similar build to mine. Doesn't really matter. Just try to get in the habit of looking at more things as we move up the ladder. That's all, guys. So it looks like my opponent's doing a very similar build to mine, and that's a-okay. Nexus goes down, add to the hotkey, double tap, center it, set the rally point. And because this is PvP, guys, we do want a nice tight wall off. We'll just build the cyber core there, rally back to the gas, and rally down here. So we're going to rally onto the minerals there, build 1 more probe. And that's a Nexus, guys. So we've seen a Nexus. We can go home.
Under attack.
Build that 22 pylon. And we just rally there. So that guy goes home. And we're feeling very confident with this opening now. Try to get in the habit of jumping between your bases, checking your buildings. Don't just let your screen sit still, because you want to be able to monitor multiple areas. If you can't do it when you're just checking your build order at the start, God forbid someone queues a drop into your main and attacks the front at the same time. You're gonna be struggling. So try to build a habit of always bouncing your screen around and just checking multiple areas. Try to build these habits. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. All right, we start the next stalkers. We get 50 gas. Guess what? Our natural just finished. So what are we doing, guys? We're gonna do a double chrono. Oh, you steal a gas for, mate. Is that probe still in my base, by the way, or did it die? I don't know what that. Anyways, lots of probes. I did a double chrono and probes, which is crazy expensive. If you don't queue up a lot of extra probes when you chrono them, you need to go at least 3 probes, if not 4, whenever you drop a chrono. You can't just go 2. Keep that in mind, guys. I see a lot of people say, oh, Pig says build 2, but then they chrono boost. And then they're not building probes half the time they could be. Anyways, let's go for the second and third gateway. There we go. We can build the extra pylon. Now we can build the observer. And we still haven't got our third stalker, so let's build that now. Sit on our middle ramp. Easier to defend oracles or adepts that shade in if we're in a central location. And let's do another macro cycle, guys. So we go those. We've already got units producing. Well, we don't actually have the immortal observer. We control group it. We shift click it through their bases. Immortal on the way. We're going to chrono boost that. So what comes up next, guys? Remember what I said? We need to get an extra pylon or 2 after that immortal to finish that macro cycle. And now, what are we going to do, guys? Oh no, the cat jumped on our keyboard. Mum says I gotta finish my homework before I can play more games. The stove's on fire? Oh shit, not gonna be able to. Oh wait, actually there's an adept here. Quick, quick. Where to go? Where's the adept? Wait, maybe there's a pylon in my main. Distractions! Distractions! So we're simulating those distractions we were talking about earlier. Ah! I swear the probe's still in my base, man. I swear the probe's still in my base. I swear. Where is it? I know he's hiding a pylon, isn't he? 2 games ago, a guy went DTs and killed me. I bet a guy's going DTs in this game too. I bet he is. He's doing. I don't. Nah. Oi. Oh shit. I'm having a bit of a mental breakdown. Okay, cool. All right, let's take a deep breath, guys. We just missed macroed. We're going to stare. What do we do? So remember, when you miss macro, the first thing you need to do is stare at your scout to figure out exactly what your opponent's doing so that you can distract yourself from actually macroing properly. No! Macro! What's the first thing we do? Macro cycle. Okay, jump home. And remember, we need to batch it up because we've got 2,500 minerals. 10 probes queued up. Chrono. Queue up 2 immortals. Chrono. Warp in some zealots. Okay. These gateways aren't hotkeyed. Let's control group them. Pylons. Pylon. Okay, now we need to do the next part of the build. We've got the gateways. We don't have the gases. Let's do that. After gases comes second Robo Bay. What comes after that? Twilight Forge. Just do it all at once, guys. If you've got the money, all at once. Hotkey them. 5 more gateways. My wife has appeared in the chat saying, what the hell is going on? What are these noises I can hear from the other room? The joy of being married to me! She just hears me making fucking weird noises and she's like, what is going on? Okay, so you can see I overprobed a little bit, but that's fine. We're building immortals. We've got the second Robo and the Robo Bay coming out, the Forge and the Twilight. We spent a lot of the money. We haven't spent all of it. We can build a few more pylons. Get these. Normally, if you float that much money, and we'll start doing this next week's episode, we will also be taking a 3rd and a 4th base. Because you've got that much money, you might as well, right? Anyways, let's build 2 Colossi here, guys. Our attack's going to be pretty slow this game, but it is what it is. Our opponent doesn't seem to have Robos, just Twilights. Let's go check the gold bases and kind of look at what's happening. My opponent's building a lot of shield batteries, though, so they look very paranoid. Shield batteries, not a good thing to build in general, guys. Zealots. We'll make zealots because we're low on gas, because those gases were so low. We want to get that Templar Archives. We've got Viagra on the way, so let's just get Templar Archives. Make sure we get a few more pylons powering these important structures, and we should be good. Alright, we've got a Warp Prism on the way. If we could do another chrono on the Warp Prism one, that would be amazing, just to get that out and then go for a big push. I don't see it. Has my opponent not taken a base? Are they still on 2 base? On 5 gateways? I think my opponent, despite me going AFK for a minute there, might be screwed. So guys, we're going to make that. We can make another Immortal if we want. We can wait for that if we really want to. Take a bunch more Zealots. This is what's important. It's spending your money. Notice the moment I did all the bits of the build at once, I got back into just a macro cycle. And I don't need to build probes anymore, so it's a very simple macro cycle. It's warp in units, make robo units, build pylons. We've got a prism almost out. Cool. When that immortal pops, that's the last unit. +1's almost here. Viagra's almost here. Charge is done. We're good. We're feeling really good. We're ready to go win this game, essentially. All right, so let's go across the map. We're going to go to here, our staging point, send the warp prism, tell it to siege up. Oh, my opponent's here with an army, so let's pull that prism back. It's a bunch of slow zealots with no upgrades. Oh no, poor Patsy Cakes. They move across the map with 7 slow zealots and a sentry at the 8-minute mark.
Mineral field exhausted.
That sucks. Alright guys, so we're going to warp in our Archons as we always do.
Completed.
A few more zealots. And, yeah, I'm floating money. It is what it is, guys. It's not a big deal. Obviously, if you want to, you can grab probes and you can go build third, build fourth. You can do that. Nothing wrong with doing it. But our army, our focus has to be on our army.
Expended.
Now, it looks like, I think my opponent was very nervous. Some people play better in this show because they know I'm not really going to cheese them or anything. They know they don't have to worry about too much. Other players are just like, I'm on TV, Mom! Mom, I'm on TV! Dad, come look! And I think Patsy freaked out a little bit because unless they've got a hidden base somewhere with... Phoenix DT? What is this? It's Phoenix DT! Legend! Legend! Okay, guys, it's a Phoenix DT from the corner. I love it. They've taken this base or something. Okay, so we're going to get in there. Where's the Dark Shrine? I need to go kill that. So what I need to do, guys, is I need to send probes to mine open that and this. And these guys to go scout around there. So I'm trying to build observers right now, guys. If he doesn't have an observer, then he's got observers. So we've got stalkers there. Okay. All right. I've got a few observers, I think. How many observers do I have? I have 2. Oh, there they are. Oh, he's revealed. He didn't actually have a base anywhere. So he's trying to I can just win the base trade. I won't. I won't. We're gonna indulge. All right, we're gonna indulge. Patty Cakes. We're gonna try and fight him front on warrior style. Let's go. They still haven't stopped my gas mining, which is wild. So we're trying to get the gas mining up there, guys. We're gonna grab probes. We're just gonna send them here. Take these gases. Take these gases, because that's what I'm really lacking right now. So we're gonna try and fight him front on. And the problem for them is Phoenix can't pick off Archons. Now, I'm going to be a dumbass, and I'm going to A-move my observers in, because that's what dumbasses would do. Not even dumbasses, just Gold League players would do. So we're going to send the observers in front like a genius. So we're going to A-move down here, guys. He's going to kill my observers, and I'm going to have no detection. And that's exactly what I was looking for this whole time. Go, oh, crap! Oh, shizzle fizz! I don't have any way of killing these bloody things. So we're going to try and repower the robo here. And notice we're going to try to move underneath to kill those Phoenix. But we can't! But that's okay, because we've got DTs, guys. We've got, observers. If we can kill his observers while making our own, that's what we need to do. So we're going to move down here. And notice I should put that observer on a different control group and pull it away, guys. Notice what we're doing there? And this observer as well. We should do the same thing. If we can kill his observers, we win. Ah! Now, obviously, I could just win the base trade. But yeah, the cute thing he was going for was to kill my observers. And then win, because I don't have any detection. Because I don't have a Stargate. So the only way I can detect is observers or something else. Or oracles. But as it is, we can win the game now. If they do something really fancy, guys, just go effing kill them is usually the right way to do it. So we're gonna go do that now. We can try to make stalkers, but that's so many Phoenix, they'll beat any small number of stalkers. But the Archons they can't pick up because Archons are massive. Archons have big Gabe syndrome. Kills the Phoenixes. Yeah, I felt like there was only like 1 Dark Templar this game. Or like 2. I don't think there was very many. And that's it. GG. That's adorable. This is like so friggin' cute. Definitely a bit overcomplicated with the whole building multiple observers and Phoenix in the corner of the map. I like it though. It's such a cute idea. Inspired by Maples. I think Patsy Cakes is definitely a Maples fan. I love it. So Maples has done this versus Neeb, Trigger. Basically, all the best Protossers in America have suffered Maples base trading them with Phoenix. Phoenix. He normally does like a Phoenix Oracle snipe on the enemy observer and then wins with DTs. It's actually a really slick move when you pull it off. I pulled it off a few times. I queued up on ladder a whole ton of games trying to make it work. I just love how I'm like, unless there's like a corner base with like something weird, you know, going on over there. Because what did I say? Did I say Dark Templar? Unless there's like hidden Dark Templar or hidden carriers. I said something. And then I looked back at home and was like, speak of the devil, you know? I was like, okay. Yeah, how many DTs is it? Just one? Oh, because they got supply blocked. Oh. If Patsy could have warped in like 4 or 5 DTs, what a different game this would have been. But I got in there just a bit too early. Why is he massing observers? To kill my observers. It's too many. You don't need 4 observers for sure. But I love it. I love it. GG, well played, mate. Very fun. Very fun. So remember, guys, even if you float a lot of money, work on this skill of doing your build kind of all at once. Notice I'm not sacrificing. The big thing I want you guys to learn is that even after this big distraction, I don't sacrifice organization. A lot of people, when I tell them, spend your money, let's go, spend your money, they think that means let's be disorganized as all heck and just do random shit and just throw buildings down. So I want you to really understand what I've taught you here today with this, and the difference is massive. So I think at this point, this is where I start macroing. A lot of people go, okay, they hold the probe key down, they warp in some units, and then they just build 10 gateways. And then they go, Twilight Council? Maybe I should build a Stargate. I have money. I'm still following my build. I want you guys to really, really understand that. I'm still following my build. What do? Double gas on the natural, second robo bay. You're gonna see it in a sec here. Here we go. So we finish warping in units. Build the pilots. That's the macro cycle done. As soon as the macro cycle is done, double gas. Second robo bay. Forge Twilight. 5 gateways. Whoa! Beautiful. Onto gas. And then just getting everything control grouped, organizing our buildings. Beautiful. Stick to the build order. So even when you're spending 3,000 minerals that are banked up, and you're batching things up, you're building extra probes at a time, you're queuing up extra immortals, extra pylons, extra, you know, you're squeezing your build together where you do 3 or 4 steps all in one go, in one batch. You still want to stick to the same order. Do not, otherwise, I see people in this situation and they learn to spend the money well, but they forget extended thermal lance. They forget to build Colossus. They never get the second robo. They forget charge because they start doing things in a random order. The important thing is to find organization within the chaos, to stay organized while playing very urgently to catch back up. And this is one of the most important things you need to do. Organized urgency is the key to StarCraft. Speed matters, pace matters, keeping your spending going. But you've got to make sure that you actually you don't sacrifice urgency, organization, because too many players do that. Don't get me wrong, if you guys are really slow and you're like, yeah, I know what you mean, Pig, I'm always organized, but then your like mouse cursor is just hurry the fuck up. You guys need to just have urgency. Stop being, you're already too organized. Just go click on some shit. But it always depends where you are on the spectrum and try to correct yourself back to the middle.